Is a mumble recording on, Tony?
Yeah.
I did not see it. Oh, there. Yes.
Oh, it's on.
Yes, it's on. Oh, it's on. Yeah.
On like Donkey Kong.
Let's go to...
I sure hope I can talk my wife into letting me spend $150 to get that Pi 400 and set it up as an Amiga.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm really looking forward to that, and of course it might not happen because we really need money for things like savings and bills and things.
Yeah, but you're going to be a rich man soon.
No, I'm going to be adequately cared for the next however many, several months short of 5 years. So more than 4 years, I will be better off than I've been.
Well, that's when you start bunging a bit away then. Saving up.
We start bunging a bit away at the front end. So there's something at the back end.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get your savings up and running. Well, first thing is to pay off most of your debts.
Well, the debts are almost taken care of. We've been really good at that. We got into a debt reduction program 4 years ago, and only because of COVID have we not already finished it.
Right.
We got to where we couldn't make the regular payments, and we've been making minimum payments for several months, and so it's going to drag on a little bit. But there's only one more creditor that hasn't been dealt with, and it's a rather small one. And our last large creditor is mostly dealt with. So we're doing good on the debt side. The COVID money helped us pay off all of our other debts that weren't covered by the debt reduction. Although being broke, we've had to use a little bit of credit, but we only have a little bit of credit left.
Yeah.
Right now we've got a $1,000 credit union credit card, and we've got a $1,100 Exxon, which we don't want to use because it's a much higher interest rate.
Right. Yeah, considering how much it's costing banks and credit card companies to borrow money at the moment, the interest rates are ludicrous.
Yeah.
Well, our credit union credit card is, I think, around 13.
Yeah, but if you're thinking that you can borrow money on the commercial money market for 1 or 2%,
yeah,
right.
That's a massive markup.
Yeah. Well, think about the Exxon, which is, I think, 23.99.
Yeah.
But I keep seeing the commercials on BBC, and the money lenders in the UK could not get away with it in the US. We've got horrible money lenders here, paycheck lenders and whatnot, where it's 200%, but yours are so much worse.
Well, they used to be horrendous. They're not good now, but some of them are really bad.
Yeah, see, I would think sooner or later some so-called Christian country would say, wait a minute, there's something in the Bible about usurious interest. Yeah.
Everybody decides to start vacuuming and running blenders.
Oh, dude, I'm in the same boat. I've got construction going on in the backyard, and about 10 minutes ago, it was, do I move to a room in the front of the house or do I just chance it? Because they were getting rid of a slab of concrete.
Oh, that's really
that wasn't going to be quiet at all. But they finished, getting rid of the concrete, and they got rid of, I don't know what you call those big, huge, caterpillar things. But that's gone now. So I think I might be mostly safe.
That's good.
Well, I have added styrofoam to the back wall of my office. So I've got something that isn't just a wallboard bouncing sound here. But I'm mostly talking right into my monitor, and that's harder than the styrofoam.
Yeah, I figure I've got some real thick curtains going up. That's probably about as good as the soundproofing is going to get in my area. This room is just way too big to soundproof.
I still have not gotten that drill bit to mount my boom, so I'm going to have to remember to lean into my mic when I'm talking.
Boom! I'm in a living room, kitchen area / dining room. So it's a really long room, and I don't seem to have too many audio problems.
No, you're okay.
If I lean into my mic, I'm about an inch from it.
Yeah, same here.
Well, let's see.
Maybe I should get a curtain and just hang it up around my chair.
Like a booth, that'd be cool.
Like a booth.
If I just sit in my chair, I'm about 16 inches from my mic.
My boom arm brings it right up to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I got the boom arm too. That's really nice.
Yeah,
I've
those
got
dynamics
the
are
arm,
meant
I
to
just
be right
need
up
to drill a
on
hole
top
for
of
it.
Yeah.
I've got the drill, I don't have the bit.
Oh, well, my boom arm's actually attached to the computer desk, so really,
Well, I do not have sufficient lip to attach my boom to the desk, so I will have to literally drill and put the post on the boom into the desk.
I didn't think I did either, but then I removed that little round plate at the bottom of the clamp.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's just this pointy bit, and that went into this dresser that I use as an end table pretty well.
Let me go turn around and look at my boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Where's Mike?
You going to put your
yeah, he was in the notes. He was in the notes a bit ago.
Yeah, he's not. I don't see him here now.
No, he's gone.
Well, Joe, I don't think I can take my disc off of this thing. It's kind of stuck on there.
Oh, we won't have a show without Mike.
Scramble, scramble, scramble.
Well, considering Mike was getting ready to volunteer to join the show, I think he'll be here.
Oh, no, he was, like I say, he was in the show notes not long ago.
Well, I mean, he was talking yesterday about actually becoming a new co-host.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, that's Joe's fault. Joe was like, come back on anytime. And now there were 15.
We definitely have to go into rotor mode then.
Well, I think we'd have to cut back on our bi-weeklies for the most part.
I already think that.
I try to keep mine as minimal as possible.
Yep. That's why I got 2 lines.
Yeah, but you'd end up talking for a quarter of an hour on 2 lines.
Maybe.
We know you.
Maybe.
Now, is Bo going to be here?
I don't know. Actually, no, he said in Discord he's not.
Okay.
Right. He had something come up.
And in terms of first up, we don't have Josh written in, Leo.
Okay. Josh can type.
Wait, where am I? Wait, what?
First up in our wanderings, blah, 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 and Josh.
Oh, yeah, because Josh ain't got nothing down there.
Yes, I do.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
He has
you did it last minute.
Stuff.
Yeah.
You did it last minute.
I'm like,
I
what
did
are
all
you
my
talking
stuff
about?
yesterday.
At this point, everything's last minute for me. Don't get me started. No.
Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Mike 6.
How are you turning LMDE into a rolling release? Because
You'll have to wait for that.
Because the whole idea was they went away from LMDE being a rolling release.
Well, I saw somewhere that had LMDE with plasma on it.
Because when LMDE first came out, I think it was based on SID, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. I don't know about that.
It was definitely rolling. It might have been based on testing, but it was definitely rolling.
Well, I'll say this. It's
I'm sorry,
process.
based on SID 6.7?
No, I'm talking about when LMDE first came out, before they changed it to stable back in the day. So, must be 9 years ago when LMDE first became a thing.
Josh, YubiKey, are they still like almost $60 each?
I got mine for $25.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's not the 5. There's a YubiKey 5. That one's better than the one I have. It has more features, but this one for what I use is good.
Hey,
like
Mike's
audio
here.
stuff.
Mike's here.
Sorry. My Wi-Fi is getting killed today. I don't know why.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry about the delay. I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi today. I can't get a really strong signal. Does my stream sound okay, or?
Yeah,
Right
you
now
sound
it does. Hope you don't lose it.
Hopefully not. I think we should be okay though.
Nah, we'll be okay. I mean, if
Yeah.
if Audacity comes out right, then we're good. If Mumble comes out right, we're good. We'll be good. We can always strip it out of YouTube or something like that if we have to.
Okay.
So, Mike, do you know how to set up Audacity?
Hopefully I have it set up correctly. I kind of went through the setup wizard about a week ago or so.
Right. Okay. So we don't record in stereo. We record in mono.
How do I switch that?
If you go into Audacity and by your recording, there's a thing that says recording channel. Let me stop mine so I can, and the top one's mono and the second one's stereo. So you need to click on mono.
I see. Okay, got that.
Yeah,
down.
it's an easy fix, but I think it's okay one way or the other because it's
Yeah, but
quite
it
literally
also-
tracks mix down to mono done.
But
and
it
it'll
also
fix it.
saves on file space as well if you're recording
Mm.
mono. So you're not uploading a 500 meg file.
Also true.
Okay. I think I
What
got
the
that good
heck
to go then.
is Thonny, Joe?
It's an application.
And that's spelled right?
Yes. THONNY.
Is it capitalized ever?
Just trust in the Joe.
No. That causes me to change things during the show, and Joe does not like that, so I want to change it before the
Well,
show.
when I'm reading something and then it bounces 6 lines up,
I know, I'm trying to fix it now. Is Thonny capitalized or not?
it probably should be capitalized.
Okay.
He's trying to save you
Yelling
aggravation
at him.
later when you're reading. We'll just when we eventually meet all in the same room, we can slap him back of the head like Guinness dogs to the probies.
I try not to slap people that much older than me.
No.
Be
Gotta
nice.
respect your elders, Joe.
Exactly.
So is there any editing done on this, or is it just kind of a how
Oh,
it comes
yes.
out is how it comes
Oh
out?
yes, there's lots.
We
of
have
Well-
an editor.
I am an editor. I fix some things. Some things get past me. Some things get edited later by Leo before they become show notes. And that's it.
I guess what I'm actually asking is if I stumble on my words or something, does that
Oh
get...
yeah, the audio gets edited.
Oh, no. The audio
Maybe
does
not.
get cleaned up, but if you fall over your words and are like, hey, cut that part out, we're definitely leaving that part in.
Well, you
I'll
might
actually
find
feature that
it
part.
actually-
Yeah, it might be at the front of the show. Yeah.
You might find it at the front of the show or the end of the show after the music.
As an
We
Yeah,
do
if,
not have a
um,
perfectionist audio editor. He does not go and cut out all the little flubs and stumbles. That's half
so-
the fun of the show.
So, Mike, if you do that, just take a glance at Audacity and kind of get a marker. It was about 35 minutes in. Then
Either that
then yeah,
or delete your
he'll-
own segment there.
Yeah.
Don't delete it, but blank it out.
Nah, it would just be easier. That way you don't have to worry too much about it. Owen can handle it.
Or I guess I could just cover it with a whole bunch of swear words. That way it's guaranteed to get cut out.
There you
That
go.
won't get cut out either.
Hold on now.
Right, come on, guys. It's 2 minutes to 3 your time.
So how does that? You said you do a countdown and then we all hit the record button
Yeah.
on 0.
Yeah, we've got two. We do a countdown and press record. So we all start our recordings together, and then with your mic, leave your mic open during this, obviously, and we do 25 seconds of silence so that we can reduce any background noise in the edit. And then after we've done that, we also do a 3, 2, 1, 0 that gives us a second chance to marry up the audio for if there's any lag on the.
Everyone says 0 together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you fluff it the first time, don't worry. We've done it loads of times, so
Yep.
we can always start again.
Yeah, if you ever watch the YouTube, you'll hear us do it like 2 or 3 times sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we ready to go that far then?
I think so.
Is
Yep.
YouTube running?
Yeah, YouTube's on.
Well, let's get this show on the road then.
Okay, so the first one will be 3, 2, 1 record, and then the 25 seconds of silence.
And leave my mic open during that time, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then turn it off.
Okay.
Well, no, because you're going to have
Yeah.
to do the 3, 2, 1, 0.
Yeah.
We don't
Turn it
say
off
the
after you're 0.
Yeah.
And then you can turn it back on when you get announced, and you'll say hi, and then you'll turn it off, and then Leo keeps talking for another 20
Okay,
minutes.
We'll
hours.
get there. Right.
Sounds good to me.
Right, let's go for the silence. 3, 2, 1, record. Well, no heavyweight
Okay.
trucks this week.
No, I heard my wife say some things, but I didn't see a blip on my Audacity, so I guess they didn't get through.
And Mike went to the closet, right?
No, I'm actually still in the same spot because of my poor Wi-Fi signal today.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Well, we didn't hear anything on this end, so I think you're probably going
We're
to be
good.
okay.
All right, perfect.
Let's do a sync.
Yeah, let's do the 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 2, 1, 0.
Zero.
Close enough.
Yeah,
Yep.
sounded good. Okay, it's over to Leo.
And
Now you
here's
can-
Leo.
And now you can mute your mic while we're doing the intros.
Perfect.
Don't mute Mike. He's here. He's our guest. All right. Okay. Here we go. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. This is episode 355. This is episode 355.5. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. We're in the mintcast channel in IRC at irc.spotchat.org. If you see something that you'd like to hear about, tell us. Send us email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Telegram, Discord, Facebook, or post directly at mintcast.org. This is Leo, and with me today is Joe,
Hello.
Tony Hughes,
Hi, guys.
Josh,
Hey guys.
Moss,
I'm almost famous.
and special guest Mike McKnight.
I knew.
Yay! We're recording on Sunday, February 21st, 2021. First up, in our wanderings, Mike shreds a new axe. I'm more and more impressed by Proton. Joe has frozen joints. Moss is going to be rich someday. Tony Hughes gets immunities. And Josh panics with a crowbar. Then in the news, so much controversy. Linux on Mars, VLC on the moon, Mint and mintCast make the cut, and more. In security, patch Mint, patch the kernel, and patch your browser. In our intersection, we talk to community member Mike. And finally, the feedback and a couple suggestions. Man, that was a very long intro. Well, Mike, welcome. Thank you for coming. It's great to have you. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and thank you all for having me on the show today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. This is going to be a good episode. I'm excited to hear from you. So, over the past couple of weeks, what have you been up to?
The last couple of weeks, mostly just shoveling snow, primarily, I think, along with most of the rest of the country. Aside from that, I've been trying to get in a little reading and, of course, some guitar playing as usual.
Not just any reading. This is one of the books that you were going through was one of the ones that we had kind of done a, I don't know, what do you call that? Like book club meeting about the art of invisibility.
I did, yeah. I actually read that because you guys were reading that. I figured it would be kind of cool if we were all on the same page, and it seemed interesting.
Yeah, and
So-
Ghost in the Wires is one of my favorite Mindic books.
I absolutely loved that book. I'm going to give it a second read through probably because I enjoyed it so much.
How about your tinfoil hat? Is that on tighter now? Less tight? Or did it change you at all?
My tinfoil hat is firmly in place forever. I don't think it can ever be loosened, but no, it was a lot of the information in the Art of Invisibility I found to be kind of eye-opening, honestly. There were definitely some things that I had absolutely no idea were possible.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, just the stuff that he goes into, Kevin, the stuff that he goes into that he did that got him thrown in jail for forever, as well as all of the stuff. Yeah, it's mind numbing. It depends on how you look at it, I guess. I mean, if you actually care about privacy, it's scary, and it's just getting worse every single day. So, yeah, it's an amazing read, and it really is eye opening.
What format did you read it in?
I read on Kindle. I've been using a Kindle now for about 10 years, so I'm kind of spoiled on paper. I really can't read paper books anymore.
So it was an ebook.
It was, yeah.
You
I'm
should
the
try the
opposite.
audiobook. Read by Mitnick.
Yeah.
Oh, he actually narrates the audiobook himself?
Yeah.
Oh, that does sound cool. I probably will check that out then for my my second read through.
Yeah, because I think there's like that there is intonation in a lot of what he says that I think would have been missed by another reader, or as you read it in a book. I think there's just something that you miss. So I love it when the authors narrate their own books. They know how it's meant to be said. So yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yeah, I love that too. Another author that I read pretty frequently is Barry Eisler, and he narrates all his own audiobooks too. I love it.
What's he write?
He writes a lot of kind of thriller, espionage. It's fiction. It's kind of throwaway fiction, but I like it. Yeah.
Like throwaway fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll check him out.
That's pretty cool. So what did you think about Ghost in the Wires? I haven't read it, but Joe, it sounded like you had.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, Ghost in the Wires. I actually enjoyed Ghost in the Wires a bit more than The Art of Invisibility. Ghost in the Wires, if you haven't read it, it's pretty autobiographical. It kind of talks about his early years growing up as a child, how he got into computers, then goes on to his life on the run and his hacking career. And I found it to be a great read. It was one of those books I couldn't put down while I was reading it.
Wow, very cool. Okay, so add another one to my list. Just to refit my tinfoil. Why not?
Don't keep us waiting, Mike. Tell us about your new guitar.
My new guitar. It's a Fender Newporter Special. It's the Newporter Special is an acoustic electric guitar. The thing that kind of makes this a bit unique for acoustic guitars, at least, is that Moss, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. The headstock on this acoustic guitar is actually a 6 in line rather than 3 and 3 on each side. So it has more of an electric headstock versus what an acoustic guitar typically has. Aside from that, it's a medium size in terms of body shape, so it's got a nice kind of balanced voice. Not quite as deep as a Dreadnought style guitar, but not as plucky as a small body either. And yeah, it's really cool. It has a Fishman preamp built into it, and I like it. It's black. It's like a matte black finish that I have on mine. And I've had it for about a month now or so.
That's pretty cool. The only thing I have to compare that with is I have a really, really cheap guitar, but you said matte black, and it just reminded me of the ukulele that I bought my daughter. It's made out of carbon fiber, matte black, and it just feels really good. It's thinner than a normal uke, and I don't know, for some reason I can strum that one way easier than my uke. So I don't play much other than I grew up playing a piano, and I play drums a lot, and then the uke a little bit.
You play drums currently?
Yeah, I do. I actually haven't picked it up in a little while, mostly because I've had so much stuff going on. But yeah, I grew up playing drums after I got rid of the piano. Well, I didn't get rid of it, but after I lost interest in the piano. And yeah, I'll go back to it every now and then. I always love a good beat.
I think I see an episode for the future. Leo on lead drums.
Oh, hey, I mean, we got to rewrite this mintCast theme anyway, right?
There you go. You and Moss, a two-man band, can take care of it.
There it is.
Yeah,
We need
I
a
know
backing
nothing.
guitar.
I know nothing about guitars, so now I know what normal people feel like when I talk about computers
I
to
was
them.
thinking the exact same
Yeah.
thing. I mean,
was
seriously, I was completely lost during that. And it's like, is this what
no.
other people think during this podcast?
Yeah,
That's exactly
it
my
is.
thoughts.
Yeah, I was
just-
trying to
you
keep
just-
it kind of light there.
Yeah, you point at it and you're like, yeah, I know some of those words. All right. Well, for me, I've not been doing too terribly much. I've been surviving a blizzard. Both Joe and I think, have been huddled around the heat
Hey,
generating
don't forget
source.
about me.
That's true. That's true. But I feel like you're a little more used to it. Your snow is more backbreaking because you just have to deal with it. Our snow, yeah, we don't
more
get a lot of
crippling.
snow. Yeah, man.
What was
Burst
it?
pipes
5
all up
million
and down.
people without power?
Yeah, we lost power. We lost water. I didn't lose power. I was one of the lucky ones. But we definitely lost water, and it's non. Is it potable? Is that the word?
Correct. That is
Okay,
the word.
I never I've only ever read it, and
It's
it
pronounced
reads like potable.
potable. Yeah,
Right,
it-
potable. Because
but
I heard it on the
It
radio. But,
reads as potable,
right,
but it's pronounced potable.
exactly. So all of our water through our taps is non-potable. So yeah, we still gotta if you're getting it out of the tap, you gotta boil it, or you can use it for bathing or something like that. But yeah, so we're still in a pinch, but I think doing okay. We're coming out the other end of it, which is nice. But yeah, so outside of that, I did play a little bit of Path of Exile, but here's the deal. One of the things about Path of Exile, it's an ARPG game. Basically, the camera is stuck looking over top your character, and you go smack zombies and stuff, right? That's the idea. In Path of Exile, I've never actually been able to get it run in Linux in any way that is playable. I could log in, I could get to the starting areas, you could run around a little bit, but the moment anything action-wise started to happen on your screen, I mean, you crash down to something like 15, 10, 5 frames a second, right? I mean, that's pretty unplayable. But I did go to ProtonDB the other day, and it's just reflex now. I type in Path of Exile just to see, how it's going, and it's got a gold rating now. And I was like, no way. There's absolutely no way. But turns out Path of Exile doesn't have to run on DirectX anymore. It's got a Vulkan renderer now, which means that it may be portable over to Linux sometime in the future natively, but as for right now, launching via Proton Experimental in Steam and swapping over to the Vulkan renderer in the game gets you, I would say, about 95% of Windows performance. Once you get to the higher levels and you got like a screen full of stuff, it seems to lose frames faster than the Windows counterpart. But man, I can play the game, and honestly, in the middle of the game when you're doing normal stuff, I don't notice that I'm not in Windows. It is quite amazing. So I'm just beaming over that. I'm happy. That's one of the games that I like to go to every now and then and spend a few hours, smacking on zombies and stuff. And I'm just so glad that it works so amazingly well in Linux. So thank you, Proton. Thank you, Path of Exile, for adding a Vulkan option. I think those two things together just make it all worth it. So does that get into does that get me admission into your podcast, Josh?
Oh, you're
Does that mean it's
already
my turn?
admitted.
All right, no. I have one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that was I've spent a lot of time with Trinity desktop environment here lately. Moss, this may have crossed your radar. I don't know. Have you been on Trinity at all?
Trinity, not since I did my review way back when of Q4OS.
Oh, that's right. Q4OS does have Trinity. I did Trinity over on the PC Linux OS side, and oh man, it's exactly like I left it back in 2002. It does not. It did not
sadly,
change.
I haven't noticed that some of the current apps will work in it. I wound up having to just switch over to Plasma.
Yeah, Discord just it was pretty unusable. I think Trinity already had some audio issues for me. Like it would detect my input, but it wouldn't detect my output. I don't know what that was about. No matter what I chose in KMix, it just didn't go. I could never hear anything. But I swear, the first time I logged in, I heard the little login sound, and then after that, I never heard anything else. So maybe I just imagined it. All my nostalgia was rushing back, and I just heard it or something. But, Trinity Desktop Environment, for those of you that don't know, is KDE 3 with obviously a few tweaks that the maintainers or the developers added to it. But honestly,
3.5 actually.
Okay. But actually, I didn't notice. I mean, it felt like KDE 3 back in the day when I was on it for, I don't know, probably about a year in 2002. But that was on Slackware, I guess, and then a little bit of Mandrake as well. But yeah, it didn't feel like it had changed at all. I even found the wallpaper that I was using. I think it's like Alien Cityscape or something. Found that, and yeah, it was the same exact wallpaper. So I had it set up just like I had it set up 10, 20 years ago. It's weird to say 20 years ago. That's kind of that makes me sad. So because I am sad now, I will hand it over to Joe.
Sorry to hear that you're sad now. I know it's been mentioned, but in case you're not aware, it's been cold in Texas, and
A little chilly.
a little chilly, and it turns out that cold and arthritis don't get along real well. So it's kind of slowed me down because, well, it hurts. But
I thought I thought the frozen joints thing was like a pun for something. No, it's not.
No. No,
you really
it
have
freaking
frozen
hurts.
joints. Oh man.
It hurts. I did get a new 8 terabyte hard drive for my server / garage computer, and I have transferred all the data over from my 2 terabyte drive onto it, and I still need to swap it into the PC instead of the external enclosure that it's currently in. At that time, I'm going to change the name to match the 2 terabyte and then change the name of the 2 terabyte. And after I restart, Audacity should just pick it up. Or not Audacity, but Plex should just pick it up and work like normal. I got slowed down a little bit because, well, there was water in my garage right where my computer was. So, yeah, that took a couple of days to get properly cleaned up, and so nothing was running in there for a while.
Well, we know none of the equipment actually works well with water, but how does a hard drive... Did you have anything running during the freeze, like sub-zero temperatures? How does a drive run in sub-zero temperatures?
None of my stuff had any problems with it.
That's
the
good.
garage never quite made it down. Well, it did make it below freezing, but never for long enough to actually like freeze a bottle of water or anything.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that was every time I buy a hard drive that's going to go in a place where I know it's going to get warm, I'll always read the rating, like it's rated up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit or something like that, or 200 degrees or whatever it is, and I'll be mindful of that. But because of where we live, I don't think I've ever cared about the low end of that spectrum.
Right.
Just you never find any kind of server closet or any kind of the name escapes me. The racks on racks on racks of servers. What do you call that room? I don't know. Anyway,
the rack room.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, just like those things always stay fairly warm, so it just never dawned on me to look at the bottom end. So I don't know what the bottom end actually is.
If that were a concern for me, I'd probably just turn the fans down some in the rest of the computer.
That would help.
Rest of the heat permeate. But yeah, it turned out not to be a problem, and some of the coldest days, everything was shut off because, power supplies on floors and water. But I did also make it out to Micro Center. I don't know if I mentioned it last show. I don't think I did. I picked up 5 Raspberry Pi Picos for future projects. I just haven't found the right project for me yet. Plus, as of yet, you can use Thonny, which gives you an environment for MicroPython, but I'm waiting for Arduino to get their UI up and running for it which they say they are doing. So I'll be more easily able to use C and C++, and I'll be able to convert the Pro Micro projects over to it once I compare the pinouts. So that'll make it a whole lot easier to make things like a USB controller, and that's a fair difference in price considering I'm getting those for $2 each, and I was buying the Pro Micros at $5 each. So because I was getting 3 of them at a time from Amazon, and it was costing $15. So yeah. I'm hoping to do USB controllers with it, but I'm also hoping to find another project that I like with it. I've spent a lot of time cooking and looking up recipes, mostly because if I'm in the kitchen and cooking, that means that it's warm in the kitchen. I did get an air fryer / toaster oven combo that I have been using quite a bit to make healthier fish and chips. Because I am a big fish and chips fan.
I love the air fryer. It's like my favorite little gizmo in the kitchen.
Same here.
Oh my God! I need chicken wings in my life, and right now it's not the easiest thing to go to a place and go eat chicken wings and get a beer. Do that whole thing. But now with the air fryer, as long as I can get them raw, I can take care of it from there, man. Right. Oh, so good.
I'll take frozen fish and I will coat it in sugar-free maple syrup, and then I'll toss it into the air fryer for 20 minutes, and it comes out great. And then a little bit of mango habanero pepper, and I'm good to go. I made another batch of protein bars. This time was the caramel chocolate version instead of the score bars that I made last time. It doesn't firm up as much as I would like in the freezer, but it's still very tasty. My kids have tried it. They love it. And the silicone dish that I used to prepare it in was extremely helpful, as was adding a bit of nonstick spray to the wax paper. The burrito skillet that I talked about last time was a big hit with the kids, and I'm looking for other recipes to add to my favorites list for lower calorie, higher protein meals without being keto. Work was extremely rough last week here in Texas with the record cold and snowfall. For most places, the cold and the snow that we got wouldn't be a problem. The amount that we got from most places, they wouldn't even notice. They wouldn't have even canceled school for a day, but we had school canceled for the whole week. Because this area never gets that, and we are not prepared for such a thing. We don't have snowplows, and we don't have salt on standby. So yeah, little crazy here.
Well, we usually have the salt at the ready. But I mean, we ended up that first blizzard, I guess that first snowstorm brought 14 inches. And I didn't pay attention to what the second one brought, but a couple days later we got another snowstorm. And I mean, at that point it was like, well, we're not going anywhere anyway. I don't care how much snow that is, just whatever.
Well, even here in Tennessee, they had there was either enough weather or enough COVID scare that the schools were closed a lot more than they were open, and which hurts me since I'm a substitute teacher. But yeah, they close the schools if there's a forecast of snow.
Yeah.
So Joe, now what do you guys typically do in that scenario? Because I'm from New England, so obviously we're used to the snow. But I mean, do they bring in plows from other states, or
no? I did not see a single plow.
Yeah, they just let it melt. Yeah,
we'll just let it melt. Don't worry, it's going to be like 70 this week.
Really?
Yep.
I'm not joking.
Oh, it's 67 right where I'm at.
Yeah. It's 57 here now. But yeah, most of it's melted now. But for like a week there, everything was at a standstill. The grocery stores were empty. None of the fast food places were open. Roads didn't go anywhere. The post office had a pipe burst. Everything was closed. I like Leo was extremely lucky in that my power was very stable at my house, but because of this, I also ended up working a lot more because most of my team was unavailable for either power or internet outages.
I mean, that's when you just say, I lost power. I don't know. This is the
I
last text I can
considered
send.
it.
My phone, no.
I considered it. And so that was a lot of 14-hour days for me, and lots of getting called back into work after hours because everyone else had lost connection. I mean, I got off of work on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. I went directly to Walmart after work, and they were calling me at 5:30 to come back. So, yeah, and I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna drive like a psychopath to try and get back in a more timely manner on ice and snow. And I actually know how to drive on ice and snow. Nobody else does around here.
It's fun.
It can be, yes, unless the guy next to you really, really doesn't know what they're doing, and then you have to worry more about them than you do yourself.
Yeah, we have all that video of semis sliding sideways down the street.
Yeah, 100-car pileup on 35.
That's right, yeah.
Video footage of crash after crash because people don't realize that slamming on your brakes isn't necessarily the correct way to stop.
Oh, man, yeah.
It's bad. And while this was going on, I had a water pipe burst like a lot of other people. Due to the freezing, it was a hot water line. Super fun. The pipe actually burst in 2 places. So the first fix when we got the plumber out here didn't fix the issue, and he had to leave for a little while and handle somebody else before he could come back. So while he was gone, I ended up having to take down all the shelving in my laundry room so that he could cut into my wall there and get to the pipe. And yeah, it was really surprising. I was able to get a plumber out the day after I called, and I'm talking to other people, and they're having to wait like a week and a half to get their plumber. But yeah, sadly though, the drain was also frozen, so I haven't been able to run my washing machine yet, but I'm expecting by the end of the day today I should be able to. But I'm going to have to set it in front of the drywall hole in my laundry room, and I'm going to have to relearn how to do drywall since I haven't done that since I was a teenager. Being stuck in the house, I ended up playing a lot more Borderlands 3 to pass the time, and I'm still liking it. I also decided to go back and play some more Victor Vran on occasion, and then someone on Telegram the other day, maybe it was Hob, I'd have to look again, mentioned that a redone version of Diablo 2 is supposed to be coming out. I have to wonder if it'll be playable on Linux. I kind of doubt it. I know that you can easily get the old one to play on Linux just because of how long it's been available and people have been cranking away, getting it working on there. But Blizzard and Steam still don't have any kind of deal, and they probably never will. So I know I have a copy of Diablo 2 somewhere, like that big box that they sold for forever with all the different versions and add-ons.
Yeah, I'll probably get the D2 remastered on launch. That was announced a couple days ago at BlizzCon. So you need to go and watch all of the videos that they have posted over these past couple of days.
Well,
Man, they are good. And Blizzard is always fantastic about cinematics. So they're already starting the storytelling. They just dropped the Rogue backstory today or last night, one of the two. And man, it's so good. Their cinematics team is just better than anybody else. They're fantastic.
Yeah. I definitely want to play the remastered version, and I would love it if it played on Linux, but I just don't think they're going to do that. Or if they do it, it won't be right away.
Well, I will say World of Warcraft has been pretty consistently playable on Linux. You don't get 100% of the frame rate that you're going to get in Windows, but yeah. I've not really had much issue. A couple of times I had to swap the version of Wine that I was using through Lutris, but other than that, I mean, it all works. It all works, and Diablo 3 works, Overwatch works, Hearthstone works, all those games. They all work. So honestly, I would be surprised if it doesn't work out of the box. But if it doesn't, then give it a week. It'll be good.
Well, one of the things I'm kind of excited to see with the remastered version and when it comes out is how well necromancers play. Because I know with Diablo 2, when it first came out, that was a good way to lock up your computer quick.
Really?
You resurrect a whole slew of other characters. I think the max you could get was like 13, and then you could do like summons or something like that. And then if there were also a bunch of enemies on screen, it was just too many characters.
That's awesome.
And it would lock things up. Yeah. Oh, Moss, what have you been up to?
Well, let's get back to the real world a bit here. There are updates taking Open Mandriva LX to version 4.2. If you run them as upgrades and don't read the blog posts first, you will have issues. And I did. I'll talk more about that in Distro Hoppers Digest episode 020, which we should be recording this week. I have a clean install on the Fuzz Z400, but have issues with the upgrade on my Kudu. I'll report to the OMA forum. Distro Hoppers Digest will also feature a brand new segment, Beautiful Failures. We will talk about the distros we almost got to review and what happened. Our most downloaded episode, 018, has stalled out just below 700 downloads. We're at 694 right now. So this is asking you to all go out and download Distro Hoppers Digest so we can hit that magic 700. We never thought we'd get that many. Tony can tell you we were wishing for 100 when we started this show.
Yeah. But it's been amazing, hasn't it?
It has been. Listener Dylan Berger has been added to the growing team at It's Moss and added a new feature, Distro Madness 2021. This features head-to-head choices between distros. Everyone gets to go on and do their own voting. We will have a winner emerging. We haven't had many visitors to the site on a daily basis, so Dylan came up with this idea to drive new people to the site. The first round of voting is nearly over, so get your votes in now. We intend to have the voting for each round end on the Friday following each whole-numbered episode of mintCast. I have a new sponsor on Sponsors. Every little bit helps. I'm very grateful for the support. My other project, All Women Housed, is taking some big steps forward. We're currently in the almost phase. Almost on the shelves in 2 Southern California grocery chains and in negotiations with a monster chain in Florida most of you have heard of. We have almost completed negotiations for online sales of produce and other products as well. I should have something to actually announce by next episode. I don't want to jinx it by bringing it up now. My mother's estate should be settled in 60 days or less, and that will help a lot. She will finally be laid to rest on Friday, February 26th. All the stresses in my life, let me tell you. My wife wants a new computer and wants to learn computer art. I had my eye on a 12-core HP Z800 workstation for her, but Leo convinced me the 8-core would be just fine, and it's cheaper. I'll get that when I get my income taxes back, if it's still there. Find another one like it if it's not.
Yeah, that seemed like a pretty good chip. Just very, very warm. That's going to be a warm chip. So
it's going to be warm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dual 4-core Xeons. Yeah.
Just point the exhaust fan toward your feet in the winter.
Sounds like you could do with it in Texas at the moment. Keep yourself warm.
Yeah. Well, we're warming. We're thawing out now.
He could get the 12-core. That's a triple 4-core Xeon. Anyhow, we're now reading Book 10 of Dresden Files, Small Favor. And I can't feed that into Joe, so I guess I'll say what's up with you, Tony.
Well, much of the same over here in the UK. Still in lockdown, so not able to go anywhere or do anything. So Valentine's last week, we had a meal delivered in. I had a Chinese. On a good note, though, I had my first COVID jab yesterday. For those listening after the fact, Saturday the 20th of Feb.
Yeah, I didn't even mention that. I had mine on Monday, so
Brilliant.
all us old people are doing good.
Yeah, us old gits have some benefits. So I'm halfway now to being a little safer. I'll get my second jab around about the second week in May, because here in the UK they do it after 12 weeks.
So I'll have my second before you have yours.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've also been doing a lot of walking during lockdown to try and keep fit, because can't go to the gym and things like that. In the last week or so, I've been starting to get a little bit distance, and the last 4 or 5 days I've managed to do 5 miles a day, which is good. Not been doing much Linux-wise, although I did install Endeavour OS on one of the Toshiba Z30 laptops I've got. And after installing that, that went pretty smoothly. I always forget about how to use Pacman, so I'm going to have to relearn a load of commands before I can start installing new stuff on it there. But
minus capital SYU. That's all you need.
But it's just muscle memory doing that and everything. The other Z30 has now gone to a new home. One of the parents of one of our lug members asked me if I had any laptops for sale because she needed a new one for work. So the other Z30's already had Windows 10 on it in the past, so it was an easy reinstall of Windows 10 on it. And she'd asked me, she wasn't sure whether she could get the driver for the printer scanner she's got. So she'd asked me to do a Linux dual boot because she knew it worked in Linux. But I couldn't get it. Once I'd got Windows installed, it had taken over the boot process and made it fast boot. So I couldn't get the menu up to use the USB key to install Linux. Although talking to the guys last week in the pre-show chat, I got told that if I crashed the computer a couple of times, I would have got the menu up anyway. But I didn't think of that at the time. So next time it happens, if it does, I've got that for future reference. But anyway, it turned out that there were Windows 10 drivers for a printer scanner, so I installed them, and she's dead happy. I saw her husband this morning. I was going for a walk, and they only live across the road from me. And he said, yeah, she was really happy with it. She says it's great.
What he means by crashing the computer, he means during boot up, you hold down the power button for your 20 seconds while it's trying to boot and let it power all the way back down again, hard power off. And then you do that 3 or 4 times. And then when Windows comes up, it'll give you that recovery menu on different things you can do, and you can force it to go directly into the BIOS.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Joe. So that's really what I've been doing this week. So over to Josh.
Thanks, Tony. Well, I guess the first thing I'd like to announce, since Bo isn't here, is our new podcast called Crowbar Kernel Panic. It is the new official, unofficial Linux Mint gaming podcast, hosted by Bo and me, Josh. It's basically just going to be us testing some games and the launchers for the games and seeing how they work and reporting on how it is with them and talking about games and such like that. We haven't got everything worked out what we're going to do, but for the most part, that's going to be what it is.
So are you guys thinking doing maybe some reviews of some of those games that you're playing too?
I don't know if we're going to do like reviews of the games, but we're definitely going to do like reviews of how to get them installed and if they work.
That's cool. How long do you think the show is gonna run? 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours?
We're aiming for an hour.
Keep Leo off the show.
Yeah, well,
hold on. Wait, Moss. How long was my wanderings?
You're improving.
It was good. It was no, it was great.
It was good.
It was awesome. On
We've
time.
got you in timeout this episode.
Yeah, right.
You should guys also should do reviews of Steam sales.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was thinking of doing. Yeah, like different sales on the different especially Steam, because it has
GOG.
Proton and everything, and GOG. That's another good one. Yes.
Keep an eye on the humble bundles.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. I got to write all this stuff down. There's so much we need to do.
You
Well,
know,
we're
a couple
gonna-
weeks ago, I was really like seconds away from stealing that YouTube name and trying to sell it back to you and Bo for an inflated price.
Knew it.
You don't take the cue from the freaking graphics card market, okay? Don't get
Hang
me
on.
started on that either.
Do y'all have the Twitter name?
I don't know.
All right, so go ahead and get that.
No. No, not yet. No, wait.
Working on it right now.
At Crowbar
only
KT.
$1,000. Only $1,000, Josh.
It's a steal.
$1,000. No, you know what? I'll do it right now, and then I'll notice I'll spell it wrong, and then someone else will get it.
Oh.
That's when you turn around and you set up the official Crowbar Kernel Panic.
Yeah. No, that's when we just screw
The
Twitter
official
and go to
verified
Mastodon.
Crowbar Kernel.
There you go.
Yeah, go to Mastodon so you can toot.
We is a bunch of tutors.
Yeah, I've only used Mastodon once, and it was kind of confusing, but now that I know more about how to do federation and things, I think I'll try it again and see what happens. But anyway, yes, that's Crowbar Kernel Panic, and that's going to be coming to a podcatcher near you soon, maybe? I'm not sure. At some point. Anyway, other than that, snow. Seriously, too much snow. Please stop. It's ridiculous. There is, it was 31
We'd
inches.
say move to Texas, but this is the wrong week
No,
to do that.
That doesn't work. That's not an option. No, we got 31 inches in one shot, and that's with multiple other 4 to 5 inch snows in between that. And it's been crazy. Every week we've been at least getting 2 snowstorms, and it hasn't been 3 days between snowstorms. And I've just been running like crazy, doing snow plowing and all that stuff.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. No, even though we're prepared up here and the houses are designed to deal with it and all that, it's still, when you're snow plowing, it's not fun. So, anyway, I've fully switched over to Debian on all my servers because I was officially going to use OpenSUSE, but I had so many problems after it installed that I couldn't justify using it for the long term. Now, I don't know if they were my fault, if it was the computer that I was using fault, but 2 computers definitely had issues with it, and they were the same type of issue. So I'm assuming it was OpenSUSE and not the computers themselves. So I abandoned
It easily could be misunderstanding what the installer's asking. And if that's the case, don't try Calculate Linux.
Well, I did take that into account, and I installed it probably like 5 or 6 times on both of these computers, and every single time, no matter what I did, always ended in the same result. So yeah, I just gave that up and went to Debian. I shouldn't say worked the first time. I had to download the ISO with the proprietary firmware. Then it worked for everything. I had no problems with that. That's a little hard to find, but if you type into Google or DuckDuckGo Debian non-free, then you'll find it right away. It's like the first or second entry. So reasons why I chose Debian versus Ubuntu. And number one, it's not controlled by one entity. Not that, Ubuntu does have Canonical behind it, and it's not like if Canonical said, "Oh, we're gonna do something stupid that no one likes in Linux." It's not that they can't fork it. It's just that they have that power to do that, and then someone would have to fork it, and then who knows what will end up happening with that.
Oh, you mean like the whole Debian Dev1 thing, right? Debian never gets forked.
Yeah, true. Okay, whatever. But I'm on normal Debian or whatever you want to say. So that has been stable at least.
Yeah, I don't know how good Dev 1 is doing. I haven't heard a whole lot of amazing things coming out of that. And as a matter of fact, I think it's going the opposite direction. Though, don't quote me. I really don't pay that much attention to it. I just
usually when you get a bunch of purists together, they start getting all pure on each other.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, you fork off, and then you end up infighting because you know I'm more pure than you, and you're not pure enough, and you need to get out of here. Go back to Debian. That whole conversation is going to end up happening, and it's tough. It's tough to keep something like that up. But anyway, good on you. Debian's fantastic. It's a great base, and it's a great home.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I haven't really noticed anything that is drastically different than Ubuntu. I mean, nothing that I would be. I didn't have any problem with it. I should say that.
There's one thing that I noticed going to Debian that you don't experience on Ubuntu is when you type in something like slightly misspell a command, it will Ubuntu will come back and be like, "Hey, that doesn't exist. Maybe you were talking about this." That's a purely Ubuntu thing, but Debian, it's just like, nope, command not found. Just go figure it out, man.
Fixes that.
I keep talking about Open Mandriva for just that reason. If you type your password wrong, anyone else says, "Nope, try again." Mandriva tosses an insult at you, and it's it's a different insult every time you do it.
Yeah, no, Debian doesn't insult you, but no, if you use the fish shell, it does suggest other things, and just like Ubuntu does, actually probably even better than Ubuntu unless you use fish shell also on Ubuntu. But I didn't use the fish shell on my servers, but I did try it out on one of my laptops, and that it did fix that issue. But I usually just Google the things. If something doesn't work, I just type it into Google, and then I realize I either misspelled it or it was just slightly off. And then I already mentioned about the it includes the proprietary firmware in the one of their ISOs, the non-free one. And personally, as a last point for Debian, I actually like the installer better than I like Ubuntu's installer. I just found it to be more straightforward, and it looks nicer, especially the server version. The server version on Ubuntu is all text-based, and this one has a GUI, actually, which is really nice.
Oh, man, I love the text-based, man. It's just so much simpler to go through that. Now, like when you're doing like really complex hard drive things, disk partitioning things, then that gets a little not great. But I mean, if you're installing it on a VM or something like that, just enter. I mean, you don't even have to care what it looks like.
Well, that's what you can do on the GUI on Debian too. You can do the same thing. You even with the GUI, you can press enter your password and all that stuff, and you're done. You don't have to like search through things or anything like that.
True, but I also don't have to dedicate more than 16 megabytes of RAM to video memory.
Well, I mean, yes, okay, it depends on your situation. I do, but they also have a what do I call it, a text-based installer as well. I didn't try that one, but but the GUI installer is really nice. Like it looks amazing. And what was I gonna say about it? I was gonna say one more thing.
No, 3 sets of command line instructions that are just formatting nightmares. That's formatting drives, DD, and YouTube DL. I all 3 of those I greatly prefer to have some kind of UI for.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially for the disk partitioning. It's much easier to see what you're doing on each disk than having to be like, oh, I got to type in to see what disk I'm on. Yeah, I agree with you there. But I was gonna say too. Now, I didn't realize this until like the last time I installed it. But if you don't put in a root password, it does the same thing as Ubuntu does and installs sudo and pretty much sets it up just like Ubuntu, where you just press sudo everything. Now, if you put a root password, it doesn't install sudo, and you have to su into the root and do everything that way if you need to, and then exit out of it. You can install sudo yourself and set it up, but that's much harder than just not putting in the root password and doing it the other way. If you do sudo and not do su that way. Okay, so that's pretty much why I like it. And then also I set up a Matrix Synapse, which Matrix is a backend for a chat platform that you can have end-to-end encryption chats with. And basically what that means is you talk to someone else on Matrix, and only you and the other person can see that message. Anywhere in between, they would have to decrypt the message to be able to see it. So I set that up with Debian as the server, and I did all that on Linode. And I can't say enough about Linode. It's really nice. The dashboard is nice. You can rebuild your server like within seconds, not even a minute it took to rebuild it, and I had to do it several times to get all that working. And
no, I definitely agree with you about Linode, Josh. I use them too because I run a Tor relay, and even their customer service is really great. They get back to you super quick. And
oh yeah.
And if you sign up with Linode and use the code mintCast, you will get exactly 0 added benefits.
I was waiting for that. No, but no. Seriously though, I would promote them without them paying me, because I mean they're just that good. I mean yeah. DigitalOcean I tried, and it was a nightmare from start to end.
Same experience with me too with DigitalOcean. It's awful.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. The customer service was bad. Everything. I don't know. Maybe it was me. I don't know.
Yeah, I've used DigitalOcean in the past. And
also not a sponsor.
Did not have an issue with them, but I've met a bunch of the guys from Linode at Texas Linux Fest. I think it was 2 years back now, and they did seem like pretty cool guys, and they sometimes offer some really good deals for initial pricing. So
yeah,
they're definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, well, I got the $100 free credit from one of the podcasts, and I mean, I can pretty much run the Matrix Synapse for 2 months for free, which is really nice. I mean, it's only $5 a month, and so far, the people who have signed up, it hasn't bogged it down at all. So it's going to go for a while on the $5. What do they call them? Instance, I guess. So yeah, Matrix and.
But they have the cutoff that DigitalOcean does, because I know DigitalOcean was
kind
offering
of a cutoff?
like $50 or $100, but you had to use it within 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
The matter you can use all that $100 within the 2 months, or you only can use the $5 for 2 months. Like it cuts off at 2 months, no matter. Well, I shouldn't say that, because if you use $100 before the 2 months, then it'll charge you. And then after the 2 months, no matter what, it shuts it off.
Right. Okay.
Unless you keep paying or whatever.
And
so
you will pay.
and okay. Other than that, my dad has finally upgraded his TV. Hooray! I am so happy, because the TV he had before was just, I didn't like it at all. It was bad. It was just bad. Yeah, he got a 65-inch LG Nano 90. It's a 4K TV, and it's really, really amazing. It's beautiful with some tweaks. I don't know if it was me that tweaked it, or if it was the AI that they say they have. I don't know if that learned over time and tweaked it, because I know I set it up, and I had to leave to pick up my wife. I came back, and everything looked amazing. So,
no, you see, what happened was he went back to real life, and then he started watching real life on TV, and it just looked better on TV, I think. I wish I was at the beach.
65-inch telly.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, a 19-inch CRT telly was massive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was massive.
We're
because
old,
it was
Tony.
It was
They were
180 pounds.
Yeah.
It
was a
also
piece of
worked
furniture
as a
at that
dining
point.
room table.
Yeah.
Yep. I had one of those in my room for a long time.
It had an LP player on top.
Yeah. Though, as for the tweaks, it might have been the third-party hacker edition that LG invites over there, right? Because it's a smart TV, right? And surely it just popped in through UPnP and it's accessible over the internet. No big deal.
Yeah, I know. Smart stuff is kind of yeah.
And
Well,
you
I
can
don't-
get one on Amazon with Alexa built in.
Yeah.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. No, there. Yeah.
Alexa, do a virus scan.
I am a virus. Thank you. No, but
Alexa, how are things at the NSA today?
no,
Great,
everyone's
we're
Alexas
watching
are
you.
going off.
I have literally asked her, and she says, I work for Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Yep. Mine says the same thing.
Not anymore.
Yep.
He stepped down. At least the
Ooh.
CEO.
True. So yeah, the picture quality of this one out of the box was like it was horrible for 1080p or lower content. I don't know why, but it was really bad. Like I can't even describe how bad it was. It was just like I don't know. It was like you took a camera and put it out of focus, and that's what you filmed on. That's all I can say. But with a couple tweaks or the AI, I don't know, or the hackers or whatever, something made it look amazing. And now it's pretty darn good. And for 4K content, it's absolutely amazing. Like it blows everything I've ever seen out of the water. As long as you got a nice 4K stream coming through. Yeah, Netflix price gouging. Okay, so my dad, like, he was like, oh yeah, so I have Netflix, let's sign up. So we put it all in and everything. We looked on there and I'm like, why is this picture crap? I don't understand why this is crap. So I go on his Netflix, I look on the thing, and now they have 3 tiers of their pricing. One for standard definition, not 720p. I'm talking 480p. That is their first tier. That is $8.99 a month. Then you have their HD, which is 1080p. That is what was it? 14? Yeah, I think $14.99 a month. And then they had their HD and 4K, which is $17.99 a month. I almost died when I saw that because you can get Hulu and Hulu, Disney Plus, and Discovery Plus for a little more than that, and they all have 4K content. You can get all 3 of those for the same price as the 4K Netflix. I don't know why their price is like that. I have no idea. But yeah, they're price gouging most definitely in that case.
That seems strange too, especially in this day and age of increased competition from every other company in the world who's starting their own streaming channel. It's
Well, every other company in the world has kind of pulled their content from Netflix, and
right.
It's probably getting harder and harder for them to maintain their business model.
Welcome
Yeah, I
back,
thought
regular
about that.
cable that we hated in the first place.
Yeah, it's like I said, everyone's gonna get all these streaming services, and then someone's gonna bundle them together and then call it cable
Right.
TV.
There's going to be some cable-like service that's completely online.
Yeah,
Please
exactly.
understand that when you're streaming 4K or 1080p, you are streaming a lot of data.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Well, not only that,
Streaming
it's compressed.
720 or
Well,
normal, you're going to save a lot, and
You're
they have
not-
data caps at a lot of cable companies.
You're not getting the 80 gig Blu-ray rip. It's extremely compressed. It's
Well, that's
probably
true.
H.265 if you're lucky.
Yeah, you're right.
Well,
It
they
is
still have
probably-
data caps at Comcast and all them
Sure,
places.
sure.
Right. But for one TV, you're not going to go over that data cap. Now, maybe if you have 4 TVs going all 4K, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Netflix price gouging, I will say it again. WebOS kind of sucks compared to Roku's UI. Everyone I've ever talked about WebOS has said, "Oh, it's amazing, all this stuff." And I was like, "Okay, so it must be good." And after using it on this TV, I'm not convinced. It's just, I don't know, there's something that's just not... First off, it's way more complex than Roku's UI. I mean, Roku's UI is so simple that anyone could use it. Anyone at all. I mean, I don't care who
that's
you
kind
are.
of the point.
Yeah. But the way that they have WebOS set up, I mean, it's nice that you have a little remote that's like a wand that you can have a mouse pointer on the screen, a cursor, and you can click things, and it works really well. But it comes on and off randomly. It doesn't like if you set the mouse or the controller down, it goes off, and then when you pick it back up, you have to press a button to get it to come back on the screen. If you don't press that button, you're like, where is it? And you can't figure it out, you know? And it took me a while to figure out how to get it back on the screen. But even with that, it's still confusing on how to use everything on that thing. And the settings, oh man, they're even more confusing. But that's probably every TV with the wording they use and all that crap.
So WebOS is LG's TV operating system, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay,
right.
okay.
Yeah, that's well. They skinned it to look, however
I love
they wanted
WebOS.
to.
I really do. This is going back to Palm OS. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
HP almost went all whole hog on their entire line of computers with WebOS, and then they didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. These guys, I don't know. I don't like it. So I'm good. My dad ordered a Roku, a better one, the 4K one. So we're gonna see how that goes. And yeah, that's gonna be that. I know it's going to be better than the WebOS. Another thing I learned is not all 4K or 1080p content is the same. Every TV channel you switch to, it looks different. Like the contrast is different, the color's different, the resolution is different. And then inside of each show, they use 5 different cameras, and each of those cameras look different. So one shot's amazing, another shot is crap.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can upscale anything. You can take old Looney Tunes and upscale them up to 1080p. That doesn't make them 1080p outside of just the actual resolution on the file.
I will argue you on that because this TV is amazing at doing that now after it got whatever it did. We were watching Seinfeld. When they on him and his face, I could see the pores almost on his face. It was that good. I couldn't believe it. I was blown away at that. And that's like, that's an old show.
Well, I think there's a difference though. Like Seinfeld on the DVD and Seinfeld on the VHS obviously look different, but the source files that they have, behind the scenes that they're not giving you because they don't fit on the DVD, those I think are something that you can broadcast, but you still get compression over the air.
Right.
And those original files that are recorded, those actually have a higher resolution than what they were broadcast at, so they can go back and make another print of it that is that higher quality and then send that out. You see that sometimes with some older movies, and then you look at those older movies that are now coming out in 1080p or 4K, and they don't look as good because you can see things like wires holding up props and
something they didn't account for.
How poor some of those actual props look, because they were designed well enough to look good at 480 or 720, and then now in 1080 or 4K you can really see those blemishes and how plasticky and stupid it looks.
Yep. No, I agree with you on that, but this one upscales it very well, I can say. I mean, maybe you're right with the whole they can go back and give it a better resolution, but I mean, we were watching even some old, cowboy stuff, black and white. It looked pretty good. I mean, I was impressed at how well it upscaled it as far as that goes. I'm definitely on the LG TV bandwagon at this point. It's pretty nice, other than WebOS. So anyway, for my last point, I am turning LMDE4 into a rolling release.
Now, come on, I'm interested about this.
So,
Linux Mint, the Linux Mint team introduced LMDE back in, I think it was around 2010, 2011, and originally it was a rolling release. And then they decided there was too many problems with it. So when they redid it and started on the LMDE 1, 2, 3, etc., they went to stable. So why do you want to go back to rolling?
It's not that I want to, it's just that I want to see how well it's going to work in general. Like, I just was curious because I noticed that you can upgrade Debian Stable to SID. So I figured, why couldn't you just upgrade LMDE4 to SID? And so far I've tried it once, and all you have to do is change in the sources file where it gets the repos for Debian. You have to change it to SID instead of Buster.
If you've ever watched Toy Story, to know who Sid is, it's good.
Yeah.
Sid's the naughty one.
Well,
careful.
I've only tried this once, and I believe I changed the wrong repo because it worked, but it got rid of a couple of Mint tools that were installed, and I think it was either the repo that I changed, or there was a couple questions that asked and said, did you want to keep this or did you want to get rid of this, and those kind of things. And I think I might have said the wrong thing in one of them. So I'm gonna play around with this, and I want to see how it's going to work. But I'm very interested to see if this is going to work and if it's going to last.
Yeah, let us know how you get on.
Next episode, he'll be like, well, I had to rebuild it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to rebuild it probably several times, except for this time I forgot to put ButterFS as the file system so I could just go back to the original. Yeah. I'm doing that next time.
Wait a minute. LMDE with ButterFS on rolling.
Yep. That's what it's going to be.
Why didn't you just put Plasma on it while you're at it?
I don't like Plasma.
There you go.
Cinnamon is my desktop.
Enlightenment.
Just don't go complaining to the LMDE forums that it's
that's where I'm
not
going
working.
First. This is not working. I didn't do anything to it at all. What is wrong?
No.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Just release it as a new distro.
Yeah, there we go.
Linux Mint Frankenstein edition.
There you
that's
go.
A good one. I like it. I like it. Okay, well, that would
be
for
LMFE.
Me. LMFE, yeah. Well, that's it for me. So I guess it's on to the news.
So, in the news, hey, I'd mentioned at the very beginning of this, there was some controversy. You've likely heard all this controversy before on some other podcast, but I love controversy, so why not rehash it? So, we've got Virtual Studio Code comes to the Raspberry Pi, but not in the way that you might expect. Who added the flavor here?
I added that.
Uh-huh.
I just thought it'd be something to have a natter about.
Of course.
There's been various, shall we say, tinfoil hat brigade writing lots and lots and lots and lots of controversial blog posts and making videos on YouTube and stuff like that. The one I've found that talks the most sense actually is Jeff Geering. He does a YouTube channel, and he did a YouTube video, which there's a link in the show notes to, is Microsoft spying on your Raspberry Pi. And it is actually a really balanced take on Virtual Studio Code, the repo being included in the new Raspberry Pi OS.
Yeah, if you want to see someone really going over the edge, check switch to Linux.
Yeah. He really
He goes over the edge on everything. His tinfoil hat is on so tight his head's popping off.
The main flap is the fact that the Foundation put this into Raspberry Pi OS before letting people know that it was going to be part of the new ISO. Jeff kind of take on it is maybe they should have just said, look, there is a repo available. If you want to download it, if you want to install Virtual Studio Code, install the repo and then you can grab it if you want it. Otherwise, we'll leave it out. But they did it the other way. I don't see it's a major issue. You can take it out if you want to. But like I say, Jeff did a really balanced video about it. And at the end of the video, he says, am I going to continue using Raspberry Pi OS? He says, yeah, of course I am.
Yeah. Apparently I said Visual Studio. Anyway.
Yeah, Visual Studio.
Yeah, like, I can't. I mean, my tinfoil hat's on too, but I can't see this as anything other than... It wasn't meant for you in the first place, right? Like, I think Raspberry Pi is for learners. It's for people that are learning to code and things like that. And, I mean, why wouldn't you give them the tools that they will likely be using day-to-day anyway? Just have it right there ready to go. But
why wouldn't they just put VS Codium on?
Well, I don't know. Probably because Microsoft gives them money to make sure that it's VS Code instead of VS Codium. But the reason the bigger reason, the more overarching reason is that why do they care? What Raspberry Pi never had any kind of crazy commitment to free and open source software, though.
No, No, the
Raspberry
whole,
Pi is educational hardware for educational software. Let's leave it that way. If people want to run Windows on it, they can run Windows on it. Ha.
The problem with it is that the Linux community kind of grabbed it and they took it and it made it theirs. Like, and that's the reason why this whole thing blew up as much as it did.
That's really
Everybody in the
nice that
Linux-
we are buying lots of Raspberry Pis to use on Linux, but that doesn't give us control over the platform.
Exactly.
Right, I
It
agree
doesn't
with
matter
that.
how many we have. It doesn't matter if we're 80% of the market share. I mean, they are the ones that get to control this. And if for some reason you feel like the Raspberry Pi Foundation is doing a poor job of maintaining Raspberry Pi OS, you know what you can move to? Ubuntu or Debian or Manjaro
or Arch.
like something that is meant for
Or buy a
Linux
Rock
folk.
64.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know that there's so many different alternative options that you have that I think, in my opinion, are better. That number one, if you want to stay on Raspberry Pi OS, it is literally a hash mark to fix this. You add the hash mark in front of the repository and it'll never ping it again. Or you can even change it in the image so you never actually boot up with that repo in the first place. So the fix is so simple that I don't know why.
Work.
What? Oh, I know, but we're talking about people that already obviously work enough to go look into the sources.list that to get mad about this in the first place. So
That is
you're
so
already
true.
in there looking at it. Add a hash mark before you leave.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's a much ado about nothing. But I get it. You know, Microsoft bad, but yeah, just fix it. Just fix it.
My take on this is if you're treating it as a Linux computer, go back and read the history of the Raspberry Pi. It was nothing to do with Linux. They chose Linux because trying to put Windows on a $35 computer would have been impossible unless they could have come to a deal with Microsoft in the first place.
And not without some money exchange.
No,
Windows
no.
CE.
So, you know, the whole ethos of the Raspberry Pi back in 2008 when they first started talking about this, Eben and the other guy whose name escapes me just at the minute, was because the computer science students that were coming through that they were trying to teach didn't have the knowledge of the students 20 years before them because they hadn't grown up with computers that they had to program themselves and to do programming. And that's why they developed a cheap computer that people could start learning to program using.
Exactly.
and that was
The
the whole
programming
ethos behind
languages
it.
were at the forefront, not the operating system.
Yeah. So, and that's why it's called the Pi, because it's a take on, pi as in mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think some of these people that are getting on the high horse need to go and look at the history behind the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, very much so. Oh well, I like it. Honestly, one question that I've had that I haven't gotten answered just yet, mostly because I haven't booted it up to find out. Diet Pi, they are a ready-made basically solution. You want Nextcloud, click the button. You want Mopedy, click the button. You want whatever, click the button. Right? They take Raspberry Pi and just add a bunch of automated scripts to it to make your life easy setting things up. I wonder if they have VS Code in there because they're not a GUI style spin off Raspberry Pi OS. You can install a GUI, but not by default. So I do wonder. I'll need to go in and check about that because usually if I'm going to use Raspberry Pi OS, it's going to be via Diet Pi. So I don't know. And if the repo's in there, I'll add a hash mark. Well, the controversy doesn't stop there, and it doesn't stop being Microsoft related. The other one that popped up was Microsoft Azure and Ubuntu. Yeah. So so when you spin up, obviously, when you spin up an Ubuntu flavored instance on Azure, there are a bunch of flags that go off, and apparently Microsoft or Ubuntu will come and let you know, hey, I saw that you spun up an Ubuntu instance on Azure. Let me know if you need anything. The big issue about this one was that this was not on a corporate LinkedIn. It was a LinkedIn message, but not to the user's corporate account. It was to his personal account. So think really this is all expected. Is this not expected? This kind of behavior and this kind of information sharing, is it not expected? Do you all expect this kind of thing?
Just because you expect it doesn't make it something that you're ready for.
That's very true, but I mean, how long?
I mean, this guy was booting up this instance on his company's computer, and bing, he's getting email or getting a message from Ubuntu's customer service person saying, "Hey, we just noticed you did that," on his personal email.
Right. But,
that's a little too much sharing for a lot of people with their tinfoil hats to be able to sit still for.
Yeah, for your tinfoil hat, yeah, sure. But how many people that sign up for Facebook and LinkedIn and everybody else are wearing a tinfoil hat? They're not. I think the vast majority of people don't care.
This is the type of thing that makes people start folding up their tinfoil.
Oh, get out of here. This is not going to change anything. And to be honest with you, this is not going to change the information sharing between the companies. It's just going to stop Ubuntu from emailing you about it or sending you a LinkedIn message. We know that stirs up controversy, so we're just not going to do it. But we're still going to get the information. None of that's going to change. The TOS isn't going to change. The EULA is not going to change. None of that's going to change.
But it does help if you don't throw it in the user's face.
Exactly. And that's the only actual issue here. It's that now it's apparent that they are sharing our information, and not just regular information, not corporate information. We're sharing our personal information because you have a personal LinkedIn and you have a corporate LinkedIn. Did you think that those weren't going to get tied together? Like, it's baffling to me every time someone's like, hey, this social media platform is sharing way too much information about me. Yeah, man, that's what they were invented for. It's not like they let you log into this thing for free for nothing.
You're the product.
You're not the customer, you're the product.
You're the product, and then people get all bent out of shape when they're the product. Oh, no.
And then they look at other solutions, and they're too hard to get started on, and they're like, I'll just go back to the other thing. I don't mind being the product.
Ain't nobody gonna use Matrix, man. I'm sorry. I'm gonna join it. I'm gonna get on there, but it's because I'm a nerd. Yeah. But I mean, I just, this one again, just kind of, this is what I've been screaming about for years, and then it happens, and then people get bent out of shape. I just don't understand. You should have got bent out of shape 15 years ago. This is not the time to get bent
out of shape then, if you're not gonna get bent out of shape now?
Well, I mean, like, I am permanently bent out of shape. It is baffling to me that people also are not at my level of shape bending. It is, this stuff should have been shut down years ago. But now it's a problem. It was a problem then. It is also a problem now. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm just saying, I mean, how loud do you have to be? How loud? We get pushed into a corner. We're like, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. They would never do stuff like that.
Republicans in healthcare. They don't know why you need something until it happens to them.
Well, I mean, those kinds of comments aside, I think you're still right, though. But I mean, come on. This is forever. I'm glad people are getting attuned to it and seeing it for what it is now. But I mean, it's been apparent for a very, very long time. So, it's been going on for forever. Now it's just in your face. So maybe it does wake somebody up. I would appreciate that. That'd be great. But how many people are gonna really, delete their LinkedIn because of this? Do you think anybody's gonna actually do that? Will y'all do that?
No.
Exactly. So, yeah,
I need a job, so eventually, so I need that.
it's a good conversation to stick your shovel down into the ground and be like, this is where I stand, but I'm gonna still keep my LinkedIn account. I'm gonna still do this. I'm gonna still do that. And it's like, I know. Nobody changes their mind over things like this, but it's not like we haven't been talking about it forever. Anyway, I'll get off my my soapbox, and we'll talk about Linux and space. The Mars lander, the helicopter named Ingenuity, is powered by Linux. Is that amazing? Is it the year of the Linux desktop now?
I don't think that counts as a desktop. Yeah, Linux is the dominant operating system on Mars.
I think actually on Mars right now they're having a discussion about turning into a monoculture. They don't want to do it.
See, so we're gonna have to ship some Windows up there and some Mac OS up there eventually, then, huh? Maybe no. they'll start it with the BSDs.
Watch your language.
GNU Mars.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, what you're really referring to is GNU/Mars/Linux. There it is, man. That's really cool, though. I'm so excited to see Linux just be all over the place. The more we talk about Linux, the more I think people understand what it is, and I think that's just a great thing.
I still think this would make a good show, talking about all the intriguing places Linux is.
Yeah, I'm
That would
absolutely
be.
100%.
But
on
we're
board
going
with
to do that as an innards one of these times, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Sounds good. So, not just on Mars and not really Linux, but some software is going to the moon. VLC. Mike, you introduced this one?
Yeah, so in continuing with our open source software taking over the solar system, VLC is going to the moon. As part of its 20th anniversary, VLC is actually going to send a time capsule up to the moon, shaped like a traffic cone, like their icon.
That's got to be.
Yeah, exactly. And the time capsule is going to be filled with 1 terabyte micro SD cards containing user videos and classic films. So I guess kind of whatever's in the public domain that they can get on there is going to be included.
Wait.
Okay,
What are
cool.
they going to do? They're not going to respond to no DMCA on the moon. Hey, go ahead,
Right,
go ahead and
right.
just put out like Marvel Avengers or something like. Go, just put it on there. Why not? What are you going to do? Go to the moon, take the
They're
SD
just trying to
card and-
reserve a parking space, people.
Well, you got it. I mean, who wants to get a meter maid to put a boot on your flux capacitor out there?
Ah, there it
Are
is.
they gonna offer a data dump of that? Like they have a list of everything that they have on there, and here you can grab the whole X number of terabytes.
Sure, let's issue a cease and desist to VLC's moon landing.
I think that would be absolutely hilarious. And VLC's like, well, we already launched it. What do you want us to do?
Or I wonder if maybe they're
Well, hey.
planning on going back and getting it 20 years from now or something. But
You guys can go and get it anytime you want to. See how
Right,
your
yeah, it's
DMCA
up there on the
takedown
moon.
works then.
Yeah, just it's up there on the moon. You can go take it down whenever you want.
yeah, so in addition to the classic films, they're also allowing ordinary users to submit videos of their own and have it included. So if you guys, so if you wanna have your own video included, just be sure to get your submissions sent in by yesterday.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it just closed off.
Man, that would be cool though. You get just a quick 5-second clip of you waving hi to any
Then the
alien that
aliens will
decides
know
to
who
come
you
by.
are.
Well, yeah, I'll be long dead by then, I'm sure.
Just make reaction videos for all the movies that that they're sending up there, and then record it, and there you go.
So just send a bunch of TikToks, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, well, just imagine if aliens come across something like that, right? Like they figure out how to run VLC and run all that content inside of it, and they're like, "What is a dance? A TikTok dance?"
What is this Fortnite?
Oh
have
yeah, the floss.
Aliens around the galaxy trying out the Tide Pod challenge.
Oh no! Well, I don't know. It depends on if they're good or bad aliens, right? Like I don't know how to feel about that yet.
They all start riding skateboards and singing.
Oh yes, get some apple juice. All
There's
right,
cranberry
so
juice.
oh, that's right. It was cranberry. So we made the list, Moss. What?
We
What
did.
list?
The 2020 LinuxQuestions.org Members' Choice Awards voting is over. We did great. There was
So
a
what do we
three.
win? Do we get a plaque? Where do we?
Nothing.
So we're basically gonna have to
You
like
can go
I'll have
look
the
it up.
plaque. I'll have the plaque for 1 month, and then I'll send it to
No-
Tony, and he'll
no
have
plaque.
the plaque for.
If you've got plaque, talk to your dentist.
True.
Okay, there was a three-way tie for best Linux/open source podcast. The winners, which are Bad Voltage, GNU World Order, and Command Line Heroes, had 14 votes each. Fourth place had Floss Weekly tied with Late Night Linux with 10 votes each. And mintCast was alone in sixth place with 9 votes. Now, Linux Action News had 8 votes, and Ubuntu Podcast had 6 votes. There were-
Yay!
Woo,
We beat Ubuntu.
Woo.
There were 21 podcasts nominated. And
I know that's
we were
just a
6
sliver
out
of the community, but it's still
It is. It's a good sliver, though.
I take the
we
win.
like this sliver. Mintcast has done better each of the past 3 years. We started in the middle of the pack and we've moved up. We're now literally third place if you count the ties as being the same place.
And I promise I'm not skewing those results at all. I don't have an account over there.
I don't.
Please,
either.
people, get an account and vote for us. We could move up. One more vote, we'd be tied for the next place. You know, one more vote, we'd be tied for 4th.
If everyone who downloaded this podcast joined it, we'd be number 1. Way.
Yeah,
Forever.
Super easy.
You can also mention, I think Leo pointed out that in the best distro, Slackware came in 2nd. So this shows how you can stack the voting. Yeah.
We need to include a link with like how to set up an account and like how to vote. And
Just go to linuxquestions.org. I put links in past show
but
notes.
we need
people.
to make
we
it
talked
as
about
easy
this.
as possible.
We did
Well,
in previous
a script
podcasts.
that does it.
Previous episodes, we had it.
The poll that Moss was talking about was the desktop distribution of the year. Obviously, Ubuntu gets first by a long shot, but Slackware 5 votes behind. 4 votes behind. And yeah, so Ubuntu with 131 votes, Slackware with 127 votes. But Linux Mint
Was
in 3rd
third.
place.
Yep.
Yeah. So hey man, we're up there. Like a little mintCast, like a little Linux Mint. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I appreciate that.
The
Next
next
up-
bit is
Oh, yeah.
Pine 64 has chosen Manjaro ARM and KDE Plasma UI for future Pine phones.
That's
Of course, you're welcome to install whatever you'd like, but this is going to be the default from here forward.
The tyranny of the default, Moss.
It's
So-
not my default.
Anyone who buys a Pine 64 phone then will be able to say, I run Arch.
Ooh. Oh, wow. That just hit me. Yeah. No, that's no joke. Oh, no.
They won't
Well,
even
especially
say
if
it'll
you
be
buy
all
the
over the
keyboard
phone.
with it.
Yeah. It better come with a sticker.
And a T-shirt. And a hat.
Hey, might as well. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's probably just the ringtone. Every time your ringtone goes off, it just says, I run Arch. I run Arch.
Yes. That's
And
perfect.
a giant decal for your car. In neon green. I
Arch
run
is
Arch.
calling you.
Ask me about Arch.
So next up, I moved it from security because I couldn't find a whole lot of security stuff about it. But yeah, don't forget the Linux kernel 5.11 is now released. Not LTS, of course, but the first kernel release of 2021. Mike, what did you find out about this one?
So yeah, like you said, it's the first release of 2021, and it's going to have support for Wi-Fi 6, which will be big, I think, as we go on. It's also going to have new hardware enablement for both Intel and AMD. And I guess the biggest new feature with this is going to be a new functionality called syscall user dispatch, which is used for running modern Windows games with Proton or Wine. The syscall user dispatch is basically a functionality, it's compatibility layers to quickly capture system calls issued by an application that's not part of the kernel, from what I understand.
Oh, that's really cool. So this is basically helping with DXVK. So it captures those system calls and feeds it to DXVK faster. Is that kind of what it?
This is how it works. Wine is really good at translating Windows calls, but not so good at kernel. So what this is doing is it's sending it through Wine to the game and then back up to whatever this is to translate it again.
It keeps it all in the user space without having to invoke the kernel each time.
Wow. Right. Wow, that is super cool. And the Wi-Fi 6 thing, if you caught any of Bo's live stream where he's doing the Raspberry Pi webcam thing, every time he tried to download something with the Pi, his quality went down by a lot, and he kept saying, "Oh, but I've got Wi-Fi 6. I've got Wi-Fi 6." I'm like, "No, you don't. You're not on kernel 5.11." So maybe he just didn't have support for Wi-Fi 6, and that's why it was being so bad.
Yeah, that definitely could be. I could easily see that being the case. So maybe if he tries with 5.11 when that comes out, should be good to go. Hopefully,
that's pretty cool. Is it actually? You know what? Let me go. Kernel.org. Is it out yet? It is. It's mainline. So he could through Uku, UKUU. You can go download and install 5.11 and give it a shot. Ooh, interesting. Anyway, last thing, and this was just a late edition because I really wanted to talk about it because I really love keyboards. And Joe, this might be up your alley as well. But System 76 making an open source keyboard, so it's got open firmware. Everything is open, everything. So it'll work on Windows, it'll work on Mac with a little tinkering on the software side. But it's going to be a Linux first keyboard,
and it's got the backspace key on the wrong side.
I think the cool thing about this keyboard though is that. Yeah, because it's open source, you can do whatever you want to with it.
Programmable keyboard is awesome.
Yes, I saw.
Did they say what kind of switches are going to be in it?
Cherry.
Greens.
So
it's going to be a cherry greens.
No, gross. No way.
Yeah.
I would suspect maybe cherry reds or cherry blacks or something.
Hopefully, it's hot swappable.
That would be really nice.
Absolutely will be. Yes.
If it's hot swappable,
no way.
I'll buy my own greens or blues and put them in there.
Yeah, so what they're doing is it's going to be, as long as your switch is cherry, it's got the same cherry MX footprint, you can swap out whatever you get and then put in whatever you want. So I think the Kale switches are available for that, and then there are a few others as well. But I think, seriously, I might just go out and buy a whole set of pinks, because Joe and I were having this conversation a while ago. He likes them extremely loud. I like them extremely quiet. So I would probably go with Cherry MX pinks, and yeah, Joe's gonna go with some other abomination.
Greens or blues.
Gross, just gross.
Available late summer 2021.
So cool, man.
I might go with short throw blacks.
Hey, okay. Now you don't have a clicky with that. Just the bottom out sound. I can handle that.
Yeah, and very short throw distance, so your typing experience is a little bit quicker. But it would depend on a couple of factors. Because if I'm going to throw a lot of money at a keyboard, people are going to know I have a keyboard in the next room.
It's like when you've done something right, no one will know you've done anything at all. Yeah, that's how I take keyboards.
So
I
like
Joe,
the feedback.
How hard would it be for me to take the switches out of my Corsair keyboard and put them into that keyboard?
Okay.
You will probably destroy the Corsair keyboard in the process, but it would work.
Your Corsair keyboard has what type of keys
Reds.
in it? It has MX Cherry Reds.
Yes.
Right? Or some knockoff version.
No, it's MX Cherry Reds, yep.
Are they hot swappable?
I don't know. I never really looked into that.
Of course,
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt that they're hot swappable too. So you best get real friendly with a soldering iron.
Crap.
And you have to figure statistically you're going to make a mistake sooner or later. It's easier just to buy 120 red switches.
Well, and on the bright side of that, you know what you like about reds. You can go buy a set of reds, and this way you'll have two fully functional keyboards with reds. But maybe I really don't know. I remember reading that the Cherry MX footprint. It's not in the blog post that I've got in the show notes, so I'll have to go and find where I found that. And because I remember exactly which type of switch it was, but I'm really excited about this. I mean,
of course, the biggest problem is you sit down, you get used to this keyboard, and then you have to go use someone else's.
No, I love the different feels of different keyboards because it's like
it's not the feels, it's the locations.
What I'm getting at though is that like for work I use blacks, and like it's like some weird muscle memory thing that my fingers know I'm at work. And then when I go and sit on my desktop, my real gaming desktop, I've got reds over there. And so I mean, like it's more than just a tactile feeling. It's like it's something inside of my brain that's like, yeah, this is the right keyboard. We're relaxing now. So it's more than that. So I don't know. I love that.
You've kind of trained yourself that way. I get that.
Yeah.
Now, I hope it's really well priced. Because right now, you can buy a PCB that is set up for a 60 or an 80 or even 100% keyboard, and buy the switches and buy the backplate and the case. And yeah, it's a little expensive, but you can put it all together yourself. And some of those are actually programmable. Usually the UI for those, sadly, is only available in Windows, but the option is still there to go in and set up those keys any way that you want to. So it's there. It's just, like I said, I hope this bundle will be reasonably priced.
Right. And the thing, I think the biggest thing about this is, though, that the firmware is open source. It's a Linux, well, not really even Linux first keyboard. It's a keyboard that you can make run 101% well on Linux. And you can make changes in the firmware if you want, and you can't necessarily do that with the other put together kits. Now, some you can, but I mean, the fact that it's a Linux first company making a keyboard that's going to work amazingly on Linux. I mean, if you're already going to spend $100, you might as well throw it their way.
Yeah, and as long as it has a function key, which looking at it, it does look like it does have a function key, then you have secondary functions for everything. So you can easily set up any type of macro or specialty key that you want.
Here we go. I found it on Tom's Hardware. The PCB will purportedly accept any RGB switch with an MX-compatible footprint, such as Cherry MX, Kale Box, which should make it easy for mechanical switch enthusiasts to use their preferred equipment. So, yeah, man. So good. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see the price so I can be appalled and buy it anyway.
And some good keycaps.
Yeah.
And hopefully an aluminum backplate.
Oh, it will be. Yes, it's milled from a block of aluminum.
Perfect.
Yep.
Clang.
Yeah. There's gonna be some clang on that, but yeah, actually, that's acceptable. Anyway, that'll do it for our news. Let's head down to the security update. Fasten your tinfoil hats, folks. Here we go. So, in the security update, patch your stuff. This is something that we said last time, and it's as if Clem heard us and he decided to write an entire blog post about updating your computer. The biggest reason that he brought this up is that there are some known vulnerabilities in Firefox, and through some very coarse. So this actually kind of pulls in a lot of the information that we were talking about with the Microsoft, Azure, Ubuntu stuff, right? Ubuntu knows everything that you do on Azure. Microsoft knows everything that you do on Azure as long as you're touching Ubuntu stuff, right? This is the exact opposite of that. So as you know, when you fire up Firefox on Linux Mint, your search provider by default is Yahoo. And most people change that pretty quickly, but the people that don't also tend to, I don't know, maybe they don't do a whole lot with their machine as far as updates go, and it seems like what's going on. And so the people that don't change much, Yahoo has some coarse information that they feed back to Linux Mint. So Linux Mint has no identifiable information. It's just like, of the people that are using your browser, 10 to 30% of those people, or whatever the number is, of those people are using this version of the browser. And yeah, we're talking about unpatched, very insecure versions of the browser that very much so need to be updated. And it's easy, right? That's the whole point of this post, is that updating is so easy. You should do it, but there is a sizable chunk of, not just Linux Mint, though. Any community. This is in Windows, this is in Mac, this is in Linuxes, less so the Arches, but desktops that you can kind of set and forget. Updates just kind of fall by the wayside, and Linux Mint is no different. So this is a call to, look at the shield. If it's got the little orange circle on it, click it, click update, and reboot once in a while. So yeah, the old out-of-date versions of Firefox, that's not great. You should update those as much as you possibly can. And kernels are in that basket as well. We talked about the sudo issue last time, where someone could get root access to your box on pretty much all versions of sudo that were released before 2 weeks ago. So it's extremely important to get those updates in there, and this is a call to action, right? Go do it. And one of the other bigger things, the biggest thing, and this is Linux Mint specific. There are between 5 and 30% of users who run Linux Mint 17. 17. That was end of life in April of 2019. Y'all, I don't know what kind of reach we have to users that run Linux Mint 17, but if you are listening to this and you know that you're running Linux Mint 17, please let us help you get upgraded to 18 or 19. I know you've got it set up just the way that you want to. I know that you tweaked that one thing and you forgot how to do it, but reach out, and man, I will go above and beyond to try and help you get on 18, but better yet, get on 20 so you don't have to think about this again for 5 years. So, oh gosh, guys. Oh man.
I can also say reach out to me too, because I will help as well.
Yeah, I know everybody on this show right now will at least give you some kind of help you figure out what cinnamon spice you're missing to complete your soul and get up to speed on Linux Mint 20. But I mean, you got to do it. You're no longer getting security patches. That sudo bug, I think the sudo bug, you're probably fine on Linux Mint 17, but if you're on 18 and you're still not updating, you're affected by that sudo bug, and it's not good. There's a bunch of things that you're going to be vulnerable to if you're not updating. So to reiterate, Clem writes, statistics are not precise, and this is going back to, they don't put anything in the operating system that will tell them anything about you. They get very coarse-grained stuff. And they don't even actually know how many people are running Linux Mint. That's how coarse these stats are. So, he writes, we can't measure anything with precision because there's nothing in your computer which sends data to us, and we don't configure Linux Mint in a way that even allows us to count how many users we have. So yeah, contrary to the Raspberry Pi VS Code thing, there's no tinfoil hat in this. They just don't get that information, but they do get coarse-grained information that tells them 30% of users apply updates in less than a week. How many of you on this show are in that group? How many people actually do that?
I
Every
upgrade
time
them
I log
literally
on.
immediately. Yeah.
Yep.
Immediately.
I missed the question.
How often do you run updates? Do you do it within about a week?
Oh, I do it every day on most of my machines.
Yeah, I don't.
Whenever
I know
the
that's
shield
excessive,
goes,
but that's what I do.
Yeah, whenever the shield indicates that needs updating.
Right after work.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I probably do it on the weekends, really. I will make because usually there's something that I want, like there's a new version of Wine, or there's a new kernel that came out, or something like that, and it's just like, why update one when I can update everything, and I got to reboot anyway or whatever to use the new version of Wine or something like that because I'm currently using Wine. So yeah, I don't know. It's about every week I'll do it. So I guess that puts me right on the edge of that 30%, but still, yeah.
That really hurts me to my soul to think that there are people out there running around with an EOL distro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same problem that we had with Windows XP. People just, why change it? Bro, because laundry list of stuff.
This is why Windows 10 forces you to upgrade all the time, because if they didn't, no one would. People still don't. They put it off as far as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true. So I guess I just want to appeal to the audience. Please, if you're not willing to upgrade for yourselves, at least upgrade for me. It'll help me sleep better at night.
See? And we all want Mike to get a full 8 hours. So please, update your stuff.
I am still running 19.3 on my desktop, though.
I seriously thought you were about to say 17. And I'm like, Tony, get out of here. You're done. You're done.
I don't think I'm running an old version of anything on my systems.
Yeah, I mean, you got to really be committed for 17. That's Ubuntu 14.04, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah.
Could you, in theory, buy the extended life pack for that, for Linux Mint?
No, Ubuntu wouldn't support that.
Oh, they wouldn't. Okay, I was just curious.
it would be way out of band, and they would request that if you wanted 14.04, because you can buy support for that. You would have to get on Ubuntu 14.04, and not like Xubuntu or Lubuntu, but Ubuntu. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. And so again, he doesn't leave you, and this is why I love Clem, and this is why I like his blog posts. But he doesn't leave you high and dry. He's not just like, hey man, do your updates and then cool, end of blog. No, he tells you exactly what to look for. He tells you exactly what to do. Like in Linux Mint 18 and 18.0.1 and .2, Timeshift wasn't there, but it's available for you to install. And right, it's not like the Linux Mint team is going to force you to install Timeshift or install it behind your back. He will tell you though how to go get it. It's available for you. Create a system snapshot, apply all your updates, and automate what you can. And I know this is, once you get into Timeshift and once you get into the spooky word automation, it gets to the point where it's like, all right, I don't know how to do that, so I'm just not going to do that. But if you have questions about that, again, let us know. We're more than happy to do that. And to be honest with you, I know, Moss, you've had some trouble with Timeshift, but I think more often than not, it works. And, maybe we should do a whole innards on how to set that up. I know we've talked about it, but like literally dive in, talk about all the features of it, talk about the benefits of rsync versus ButterFS, which if you're trying to go easy, ButterFS is not going to be easy in your book. But I mean, really just dive into how to do this stuff, because the instructions are fantastic. He walks you through the entire thing, but still, it's something that you need to dive into.
Or you could just find me an easy-to-use snapshot program.
I mean, I did. It's called RescueZilla. Use it. It's fantastic.
I was going to say the same exact thing. That's what I use too. RescueZilla is awesome.
Yep.
I can agree.
You're already going to be slowing down your system, so why not reboot into RescueZilla and take a real, live, actual backup that none of the files are going to be corrupted, because none of the files could have a chance to change while you're taking that image. And you can even pick into that image and look and find files that you might have accidentally deleted, and you don't even need RescueZilla to do that. So there's a million and one reasons to use Timeshift, but there's a million and two reasons to use RescueZilla. So just fantastic stuff. Fantastic. Anyhow, yeah. So patch your stuff. At the very least, click on that little shield and update your box. If you know, or if you run that LSB release command that Clem gives you, and you're on Linux Mint 17, write in. We'll help you figure out how to move forward. So one last thing, and it's kind of the opposite of what I've been preaching this entire time. I've been saying, if you go Chromium, go Brave, because Brave's fantastic, and it still is. But so Brave has had a little kerfuffle over the past week or so, and it is not a good one. If you use Brave and the Tor functionality of Brave, which already kind of is like, I don't know why you would do that. But if you do that, yeah, get up to Brave 1.20, the most current release. It was released a couple of days ago. It'll probably be 5 days by the time this show hits you. But if you haven't updated Brave in the last 5 days, as you hear this, then go update Brave. It's important if you use the Tor module, because it looks like Brave has been leaking your DNS to whatever onion site you go to. Yeah, whoever does your DNS, they're able to see what onion site you went to. So this was known, and it was intended to drop in 1.21, which is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. But because there was a whole thing the conspiracy theory started flying real quick once a user tried to post this particular thing to our privacy. The mods there shut it down because it wasn't vetted. It was just they didn't have a big name in the security realm, so nobody knew who this was. So they were just like, you know what, go get it vetted and then come post it after that. And that's exactly what happened, which is why I don't understand why there's conspiracy theories going on about it. But they posted it to NetSec, they posted it to Brave, and it got taken care of. So it didn't drop in 1.21 after all, but it did drop as a hotfix. So what now? You can't stop the Leo? What about it?
We're having a discussion on the length of the show.
Oh, yeah, it's long. It's always long.
So, sorry.
I was going to say my eyelids are starting to droop.
Oh, no!
Well, just one quick thing about the Brave thing. If you need to use Tor, if you do, please
you're gonna
don't
say exactly
use
what
Brave.
I'm thinking. Yeah.
Please don't use Brave. Just go right to the Tor browser. That's going to save you a whole lot of trouble, because if you're in a nation state that, the monitors everything, you can't say such certain things and all that crap, use Tor, please.
Yeah, well, use the Tor browser. I
Browser,
think
that's what I
is the
meant.
biggest
Yeah,
thing.
Tor
and then
browser.
you're probably already using Tails, which has Tor browser installed by default. So
Now, Tor browser, the backend on that is Firefox, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, long story short, update your Brave, especially if you're using Tor, and just our ethos, right? Patch your stuff. Just patch it all. Just keep it all patched, and you'll be golden. Anyway, so that'll do it for my tinfoil hat session. we'll head down to the Linux innards and we'll talk to Mike. So in this section, we talk to Mike McKnight. So, Mike, we just wanted to welcome you again to the show, even though you've been here for a long time so far.
Thanks for the second welcome. I appreciate it.
Of course. And just really kind of wanted to get started on, so what are you doing? What are you doing with this whole Linux thing? Where did you start?
I started kind of by accident. It's a bit of a funny story. I just started using Linux almost 2 years ago. Actually, the end of March will be my 2-year Linuxversary. So before then, I was a Mac convert. I'd been using Mac OS for about a decade beforehand. And what had happened was I ended up needing to get a PC for work. I worked from home, and it needed to be a thing where I had to get it really, really quickly. So I make a lot of boneheaded purchase decisions sometimes. I don't know why. It's just my nature. So I popped onto Amazon and spent all of 3.5 minutes picking out a PC. I went mostly by price, ordered it, showed up 2 days later, and it was an absolute piece of junk. It was a Asus VivoBook, low end. It has a very low end. It had a Celeron processor in it, and it ran Windows S. If anyone is not familiar with Windows S, it's a very, very watered down version of Windows 10, similar almost to a Chromebook. And you can't really do a lot with it. You can't even install anything from outside of the Windows Store, Microsoft Store, Garbage Store, whatever they call it.
S stands for sucks.
Exactly. It really does. So I went back to the Amazon page and to the reviews for this thing, and there was one guy in there who had given the computer a perfect 5-star rating, and he said that as soon as he got it, he ripped Windows out of it and installed this thing called Linux Mint into it. So I said, well, I might as well give it a shot, because as of right now, I have a fully unusable computer for my purposes, and Amazon won't take it back. So I installed Linux Mint on it and spent the weekend trying to teach myself Linux. I think I probably broke it and had to reinstall it about 5 or 6 times, but 2 years later, here I am.
Man, that's awesome. I love that. It's like, so yeah, just totally just fell right into your lap. I love it.
It was more of a kind of a necessity thing, I think, at that point. Like I said, I was stuck with this awful purchase anyway, so I had to try to make the best out of it.
And what distro did you say you started with?
I started with Mint. That was actually the distro that the person in the Amazon reviews said that he had replaced Windows with, and it worked perfectly. So seemed good to me. I did a little bit of quick research on Mint, and it said it was also a great beginner distro. So that solidified it for me.
So did you kind of feel that way? Like as you got into it and started tinkering around with it, did you feel like it was a good beginner distro as well?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, as soon as I got it fully installed and had it actually working and running, I felt incredible about myself. I felt like I was, I don't know, Edward Snowden or something. But it's just, it was powerful. It worked. It made this computer run again for the very first time. And yeah, I just fell in love immediately with Linux and Linux Mint.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much the exact same thing for me. As I started getting back into Linux after a little bit of a hiatus, that's what I did. I think because Mint had the codecs. As a matter of fact, I think it was 17 that brought me back in. That sounds right. I think that sounds right. Maybe I don't remember what version it was, but they shipped with the codecs, and I think that was the most absolute fantastic thing ever, because it felt like on Windows when you were trying to use like the Windows Media Player, and you got this one file, and you're trying to play it, and it's like you don't have the codec, and then you had to go find out that you were like, oh, you need to go download Klite or CCCP, and then they would have your code. So Mint was basically that pack and then some on top of all of that. So it was absolutely fantastic.
It was definitely that, and I think for me too, what I find to be the kind of the greatest feature of Mint that makes it so excellent for beginners, and that also really doesn't get a lot of hype, I think, is the update manager. I love Mint's update manager because not only does it tell you what needs to be updated, but it actually gives you a description of what the packages are and what they do.
Yes.
Which, as a beginner, I mean, I would have no idea what ALSA is or any of these other things unless it actually had a description. So it was really instrumental in my learning more about the distro at the same time.
Yep, and as I started tinkering around with that, I realized that you can even have it tell you more. So you can actually go in and say, you know, what version are you coming from? What version are you going to? And dates and all kinds of information. So it really is one of the best updating solutions when you care about it. When you care about updates, otherwise, it's just another one in the pack. But if you care about the information there, it's top notch. It's the best in my book.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
So anyhow, Mike, what other distros have you tried out, and what are you still running on anything?
So I stayed once I installed Mint at first, I stayed on Mint for about 6 months or so, and then I started doing some distro hopping. Switched over to Ubuntu for a bit, did a little Fedora, did some Kubuntu, and I also tried Ubuntu Mate. I did all of those. I think I did a distro hopping for about maybe 6 months in total. And then I came back to Mint, and I use Mint as my daily driver now. But in addition to that, I also use Tails and I use Unix.
Oh, very cool.
What was your use case for Tails?
Tails, I do a lot of cryptocurrency with.
Now that is a smart way to handle your wallets.
Yeah, exactly. I like to keep it off my hardware altogether, just because, you know, Linux obviously is very, very secure, but with it being my daily driver and also the computer that I use for work, there's no guarantees that it's, you know, there's absolutely nothing insecure in it or keyloggers or scripts so I just like to keep everything secure that way, compartmentalized.
Exactly.
Any multi-booting going on?
Nope, I'm sorry.
Any multi-booting going on?
I did. I dual booted for my first 6 months with just with Windows, but now at this point I'm only just running Linux solely on the machine.
Any gaming?
Not PC gaming. I never really got into that. I kind of find it to be a bit frustrating trying to
tabletop
figure it out.
RPG guy.
No, I'm actually a Nintendo fanboy, Nintendo purist.
There you go.
So you only play it on the original hardware?
For the most part, I do have some emulators that I run some of the games that I own just kind of in a more convenient setting. But
so, is that NES or SNES, N64?
Yep, all of the above. I own all Nintendo consoles except for the Wii U and the Virtual Boy.
Well, I mean, if you were going to skip some consoles, those are the ones to skip.
Definitely skip the Virtual Boy, and unless you just want it on the wall as a showpiece.
It would be nice to have for my collection, but not for the prices that it's going for currently. I'm more of the type of retro gamer that likes to get use out of my products. I don't like them just for show.
Oh yeah, me too. I still have the original Nintendo, the NES, and I have a Super Nintendo and an N64, and they all still work. And oh man, they're so good.
No, I don't have my original first run NES that I had growing up, but I have the second version, the top loader, and I have no idea if it still works or not. But I do have I've got probably 50 original Nintendo games. Granted, I still have my Atari 600, which is now broken thanks to a former roommate that stepped on it. But I only had a few of the games left over for that, and then not long after it got ruined, my dad brought the tape deck over for it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So the top loader, Joe, that you were talking about, that was an NES?
Yeah, that was original NES.
Man, so you didn't get to do the whole stick your finger in the notch and go back and forth really quickly to make the connection happen right on the NES?
No.
Oh man, so there was a lot of reset smashing and the wiggle, the NES wiggle.
No, I did have the original NES as well, which was the front loader.
And, yeah, that's what I'm talking
about. Blowing on the cartridge, pulling it in and out several times to clean the contacts, things like that. And yeah, that happened a lot.
That's good childhood right there.
Yeah, but yeah, we had one of the first run Nintendos, which was what, 1986?
Yeah, about 86 or 87. Did you have the pack-in Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt?
Yes.
Dual cartridge.
Yeah. Came with the gun. I think my dad got us the whole package where it came with that. The dual game came with the gun. I don't know if it came with 2 controllers or we had to buy one after the fact. Yeah. And man, I don't know how many hours I spent on that game. That just
until you had those
time.
giant calluses on your thumb, and you could practically push a needle into it and nothing would happen. Yeah, I had those.
I even had as a kid the Power Glove, which was awful.
Wow.
So
that
awful.
was so gimmicky, and it came out with that movie. What was that movie called?
The Wizard.
The Wizard.
It had Fred Savage in it. I actually went and saw that. I think I was probably about maybe 9 or 10 years old, if I'm remembering correctly.
And that was for the release of Super Mario Brothers 2?
3.
3, okay, 3. Yep. And at least Super Mario 3 was good.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
The movie The Wizard was really just a gigantic commercial for Super Mario Brothers 3 and the Power Glove.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait. We just skipped over Super Mario 2 in this little conversation. Is it bad?
It was pretty bad.
No.
What?
Comparatively, yes.
It wasn't actually a Mario Brothers game. Not to take this into Nintendo Cast, but
we're gonna.
Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan was actually a completely different game called something like Doki Doki Panic. And they just kind of recoded it and added Mario characters to it because they thought that the actual Super Mario Brothers 2 was too difficult for Western audiences.
Oh, wow. How cool. Well, I mean, I actually kind of liked it a lot because, I mean, it was pretty obvious that you were, like, not really, kind of like how Super Mario, right? It was obviously a play because you're going behind the curtains and you're switching from one to the other. And like in the third world of in the third stage of the first world, you can hold down on the white blocks and you go behind the props essentially, and you can see them like screwed into the wall. It was so cool. I thought 2 was awesome in that same way, except you realize at the end of it all it was a dream.
Right.
And I kind of felt let down by that, but the more I thought about it, I was
Spoiler.
like, yeah, that makes sense. Well, if you hadn't beaten it by now.
Right. It's only been 30 plus years.
Yeah, but
what about all the retro kids that are coming up now that need to play that game?
Oh, they
sorry,
watched
kids.
it all on YouTube already.
Yeah,
so true.
they've seen the playthrough.
Oh, the internet has ruined everything.
Yeah,
Speed
but
runs.
I think, as I realized what it was, I came to terms with it, and I was like, actually, that was a really good game. Now, obviously, it wasn't a real Mario game, but honestly, I still loved it, man. Luigi was the best because he did that little kick, and you could almost float. I felt like Peach was cheating, and Toad was hard mode.
Yeah, Toad was kind of a waste of a character. I'm not really sure why he was even included. He served no purpose on any level.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, Toad and Mario were basically a carbon copy of each other because they just had a regular jump.
I think Toad actually had a lower jump, but he was stronger. He could pick things up a bit faster than the other characters.
Okay, that makes sense. So Toad really was hard mode then.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's cool.
But I emulate most of those these days instead of worrying about whether or not my original Nintendo system still works. And my Genesis is gone with the wind somewhere, probably in Iowa still. But I've got a couple of those games still floating around. But I'll just emulate.
I emulate the games that are harder to find or the games that are just prohibitively expensive to purchase. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was playing, I'm not sure if any of you guys remember this, Revolution X from the arcade days. It was an on-rail shooter starring Aerosmith. And they were actually in the game. You had to go and rescue Aerosmith by shooting these weird soldiers and throwing CDs at them, and you had to save Aerosmith.
Yeah, I'll say I do miss a couple of the arcade games that just aren't going to emulate well, like the ones where you actually had a mock-up of a sniper rifle and in the arcade, and you got to shoot things with it.
Yeah.
The giant ones with like the skateboard that you stood on, that was always a really good workout.
I miss the arcades, honestly. It was such a fun time in the 90s for me.
And the sit-down version of Hydro Thunder with the speed controller on the one side, so you could just drop it back real quick and pop it forward to do your hop.
Awesome days.
Shall we move on?
Honestly, no, because we need to stretch out the innards a little bit. But I was going to step back a second, and you mentioned cryptocurrency. Now, we have had some really good conversations about cryptocurrency, and I'm wondering what your stance is on it right now, considering the price of Bitcoin is over 56,000, but altcoin seems to be slowly sliding back down.
In regards to Bitcoin, I couldn't be happier. I started investing in Bitcoin about a year and a half ago or so. I want to say it was around the $9,000 mark when I started investing. So obviously that's taken way off. In regards to altcoins, I don't really do too much with altcoins. I hold Monero, but I use that more for kind of payments with privacy than I do for any type of an investment or anything along that line. So for me, it's almost solely Bitcoin.
Yeah, but still, your Monero had to jump quite a bit in the last couple of months.
Oh yeah, the whole crypto market this year has just been really kind of it's almost like a runaway train in a lot of regards. I do wish that I had hopped on Ethereum about a year ago.
I blame Elon.
Oh, absolutely. I follow him on Twitter, and as soon as he started indicating his support for Bitcoin, it shot up like another $7,000 or $8,000 in 24 hours.
I mean, he mentioned Doge.
It'll keep happening.
I wonder if Sponsors lets people donate in Bitcoin.
He heard Leo
you don't
talking about Doge.
Well, hold on, one sec, Moss. You don't need it. Go get a wallet, find out your wallet address, and then just put that places. People can pay you that way. There doesn't have to be a middleman with crypto. That's why crypto's so cool.
Yeah,
it's digital cash. Yeah.
But you're expecting me to do something, and I'd rather have someone else do something and have it trickle to me.
No, that's not how crypto works. I mean, you can make it work that way, but then there's people taking cuts, and you don't want that.
Or maybe
PayPal takes Bitcoin now.
You might be able to get set up as a provider on Brave, Moss, and then people can pay you in BAT.
Yes.
I don't even understand what you said.
And BAT has gone up quite a bit in the last few months as well. I mean,
that was about 5 cents, I think, a year at the start of this year.
Oh, you said Brave.
Or
I heard Rave, and I thought that was a new app or something.
Yeah, it was really low, and now it's sitting at like almost 60 cents. It was up to 65 cents.
Yeah, I think cryptocurrency is probably the wave of the future. I doubt it'll ever replace fiat currency, but I can absolutely envision a future where Bitcoin and maybe other cryptos are just more widely accepted. You know, walking into a store and paying with Bitcoin will probably be fairly commonplace in the next 5 or 10 years.
It's not going to go
buy
away.
a fiat anyhow.
It's definitely not going to go away now that major institutions are getting involved. There are huge companies that are literally purchasing billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin right now. So that's going to really hamper any type of regulation that the government may want to place on it because now rich people are involved.
Well, a lot of it was also the value of the dollar dropping, pushing up the value of cryptocurrencies. And I'm wondering how the lessening of the COVID crisis, I didn't want to say the ending of the COVID crisis, but the lessening of the COVID crisis as the vaccination becomes more widespread, that should improve the US dollar. So I'm wondering how that will affect cryptocurrency going forward.
Right. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Wow, I sound like I know something or something. Weird.
I mean, I think obviously right now one of the biggest things going for Bitcoin has been all the institutional investors. That's what's really kind of forced the price to go upwards as much as it has. So I suppose as long as institutional investors still stay involved with it, even after the dollar gains strength, then I expect that hopefully Bitcoin will be okay too.
Yeah, unless there's a bunch more hacks on exchanges hitting the news, your price isn't going to drop back below 20,000 again. I would assume, and dropping to 20,000 would be a big hit to those major companies that invested in it. So hopefully you don't see that either.
Right, exactly, and I think now, or hopefully everybody that invests in cryptocurrency knows to not leave your money on exchanges anymore, or at least not a significant amount of it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Shall we move back to Linux?
Well, I mean, you can run the wallets on Linux, so I mean.
So, Mike.
Yes.
One of the buzzwords around the Linux community at the moment is workflow. Obviously, traditional Microsoft taskbar at the bottom, start button at the left-hand side, all that kind of stuff. Do you do anything to your Linux distro to suit you as far as workflow goes?
No, the greatest thing about Linux is that I didn't have to do anything to adjust my workflow. So when I first started Linux, I really got inside.
Guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I need to really go right now. So I just wanted to say goodbye to. Sorry, now your name escapes me.
It's Mike. It's a complicated name.
I'm sorry. I'm a little flustered right now.
Very unique.
So anyway, yeah, I just want to say goodbye. Thanks for coming on and everything, and we appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Josh. You have a good day.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Good
And
night,
I will get this loaded up and everything later. Like up to the Google Drive. I mean.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just gonna stop it. That's good. Yep. Okay. All right.
All right. Good night.
Have a good one.
Yep. You too.
Talk to you later.
I hope things are okay.
Yeah.
So where were we, Mike? You were talking about your workflow.
Yeah, so one of the things that I found when I started with Linux is that I really didn't need to adjust my workflow, although I thought I did. I got into my head and I was trying to figure out, for work, I mostly just remote into my in-office PC. So I really started trying to hatch this plan of creating a Windows 10 VM, and then somehow in that VM getting the connection information so that way I can use the VM to remote into Windows. And then I learned about Remina and just made everything so much simpler for me. I just remote in the morning. So my workflow is literally just coming on, throwing on the corporate VM, starting up Remina, and that's it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I have very similar, because I do have to remote into a Windows system, so yeah, I do know what you're talking about, but I don't use Remina for it. It's just a Citrix application.
Oh, okay. I will say, though, that I find that Remina works a lot better than the Windows Remote Desktop Protocol. Much more stable, and I think Remina kind of strips away some of the unnecessary bits. So I noticed with Remina, it won't show the background desktop wallpaper on my work PC, which is great because I don't need it, but I think it saves the resources to make it run a lot faster than RDP does.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of RDP.
No, me either. Not at all. I find that especially Java-intensive applications really don't work well over RDP.
It's kind of garbage, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, does Linux do everything you need in a system? You wish it did more?
No, I've honestly been really happy with Linux. Anything that I've ever needed that it didn't have, I've kind of found ways to get on my own, whether through Wine or whatever the case. But no, I don't do a lot of. I've never done anything proprietary. You know, I never worked with Adobe too much, or even Final Cut with Mac. So there weren't a lot of proprietary applications that I missed out on when I came over. I found the transition over to LibreOffice to be completely smooth and fine. I honestly don't understand why more people don't use LibreOffice in spite of Microsoft Office.
Well, you can still use Microsoft Office even on Linux, and that's kind of an industry standard type of thing, and it's also the thing that kids get introduced to in school, so it's the thing that they end up wanting to use the rest of their lives.
That's true, and I suppose if you're a heavier user of Microsoft Office, maybe if you're involved with the macros and whatnot, it might be a tougher transition. But luckily, that wasn't my case. It was just kind of drop and replace for me.
Plus, there isn't really anything to compare to OneNote.
No, that's true. That is true.
I just use Markdown.
I haven't tried that actually yet.
I mean, honestly, if you don't mind, no, I mean, I don't know. It's not even really a mind thing. I really feel like Markdown is, for me at least, the superior way to take notes because, for instance, like in Microsoft Word, you would, if you wanted a header 1, you'd have to type out whatever you wanted to do, select it, go up to the top and bring it down and choose header 1, and then it gets made big or whatever. In Markdown, it's basically whatever you want to type, just put a hash mark in front of it, kind of like you do in a comment in a Linux configuration file, and bingo, that's it. That's all it is, and it makes it header 1. For header 2, it's 2 hash marks. For header 3, to be smaller, it's 3 hash marks. And just it's really interesting. I think if you're just a fast typer and want to get it done, I think Markdown allows you to keep your hands on the keyboard the entire time.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out then.
I think it's worth it.
Now, you've already said that you don't really do any heavy gaming on a Linux system, but do you do anything else for your hobbies, per se? 3D printing, anything like that? Mining?
No, I definitely don't do any mining. I'd love to, but I don't have a setup like that, unfortunately. No, about the only thing that I do with my Linux machine in regards to my hobbies is I do record music on it, not in a professional environment, but it's more of I have a special pass through where I can hook it into the computer to record my guitar. And I used to put it into GarageBand on Mac, and I've been looking for something comparable to that, or hope something at least somewhat comparable to that on Linux.
I don't know anything.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's just raw audio because I've got a Focusrite Scarlett Solo here, and I mean, it's got a hookup for whatever you want to plug into it. There'd be a 1/4-inch jack. I've got a bass guitar that I can do that with, and I mean, Audacity will record it, but I guess it depends on what you want to do with it after the fact. If you want to add effects and things like that, Audacity has some, but that's not what it's for. It's not a DAW. If you want something like that, maybe you could look at Ardour. I don't know how deep in you've looked into all of this stuff, but Ardour seems to be, it might just be exactly what you want. It's got the GarageBand stuff, but it's about as complicated as, all the other ones like Pro Tools and stuff. So, it's a bit of a learning curve.
And that's fine. I don't mind spending a weekend with it, trying to get to the bottom of how to use it. But mostly what I'm looking for is just something that'll allow me to record individual tracks and then layer them onto each other.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're not going to be doing much editing to the tracks, then Audacity will get you done. But yeah, to be honest with you, I think Ardour is probably going to be a better choice for you because it's got way more functionality. And if you fall into something that you actually like, then I mean, all the better.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out then, definitely.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I think that'll do it. Tony's already asleep.
No, I'm awake. I'm awake. I've got the matchsticks in the eyelids.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, I guess let's head down to vibrations and wrap this thing up. Well, we got some emails. Mike, feel free to hop in if you have anything to add to any of this, but yeah, we'll go on through this. Who wants to take Henrik?
I'll read it for everybody.
Heck yeah, thank you.
All right, so Henrik says, "Hi, my experts. I have an article, link below, on my blog comparing memory resources for some distros. I have used the command top, and in result, I have focused free. Today, I don't know what that is.
I'm going to go with Marius.
Marius? commented that used is better and would give a somewhat different conclusion. I have read some about it, but not that I fully understand. If you read the comments on the bottom of the page, can you help me out understanding what buffer/cache means and how it should be considered when comparing distros? Is used better for comparison than free, or is the truth somewhere in between? Equals look at both. If you have time, I'm grateful for any response by email, in the show, or why not directly a reply on the blog post. And then he goes on to include his link. Cheers, Henrik Hemren.
Joe,
No.
all right, you're up.
I don't know about anybody else, but is used another like application like free? Because I haven't.
No, he's saying when he runs the free command or when he sees it in top.
Okay.
That's the used he's talking about. So used memory,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No. In free, I definitely look at the used, and then I do, yeah, because free doesn't necessarily tell you how much is actually free. There's a couple of different things there. Let me bring up free real quick.
Well, okay, so I'm looking at it now, and I mean, used memory is basically calculated as total memory minus free minus buffers minus cache. So used is basically what your system is actually using at the time, not counting buffers and cache. But one of your questions was, what does that mean? What is buffers and cache? So
buff and cache is what is not really being used in RAM, but is left in RAM in the background so that it can quickly be accessed because you're going to go back to it, or the system assumes you're going to go back to it.
Yeah,
it just speeds up the process, doesn't it, by keeping it cached or buffered?
Yeah, and the difference between them is buffers is kernel memory and cached is pretty much all the other junk. So it either is going to be loaded into RAM, so we go ahead and throw it into cache anyway, or it was loaded into RAM and we just haven't cleared anything at this point. So it's still lingering around, which is why used does not show it in its calculation. So used is a pretty good idea. It gives you a pretty good idea of what you're seeing or what you're using.
The stuff in cache is basically the first stuff that will end up going to swap. And now, swap is useful. It's extremely useful, especially if you have a low amount of RAM. Now, on my systems, I have the swap, and swap is also good for things like, sleep and wake. But my goal is to have enough RAM that it never actually needs to go into the swap during normal operations.
Yeah, I mean that's just a good way to deal with it, unless you've got something like Intel Optane, which is basically it's meant for swap, but it never goes to your actual system disk, or you've just got a really fast disk and don't care. I think SSDs in general, once you start knocking on swap a little bit with an SSD, it's much less noticeable than if you're on a hard disk. So, I mean, I agree with Joe. Just stuff it full of memory, and if you can't do that, then stuff it full of an SSD, and I think you'll be okay one way or the other.
Yeah, a faster SSD. The M2s or the faster M2s.
Yeah, and another thing that I think really kind of confuses people is the difference between free and available. And free is the amount of free and used physical and swap memory in the system. So it does take into account swap memory as well, which kind of gives you a skewed view of how much memory you've got. But available is probably the number that you actually want to look at, because available is how much memory is available for starting new applications without accidentally falling into swap or something like that. So for your use case, Henrik, I mean, used is going to be what you want to look at for how much memory you're using, and available is what you want to look at for, what your system has available to it to do other cool things with without getting into swapping and this and getting into slower operations and things like that.
But yeah, if what you're doing is loading up an operating system, opening terminal, and typing free, then what you're going to be looking at right there is used.
Yeah.
Just to see what got grabbed.
I think there's a wider conversation to have about that. I mean, is that useful? Is doing that? Because Moss, you love to do this too. How useful really is this in general?
Moss,
You're asking me?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
yes,
you
he's
do it.
asking you.
You tend to do that. You do that on Distro Hoppers Digest. You do throw that information out. Does that kind of information really say one operating system uses 1 gig and one uses 512 megs? Is that like a game breaker for you?
Well, no, we only use it to actually talk to people that have older systems.
Exactly.
Will it work on
Right.
this system? And if something is using 284 megabytes at rest and something else uses a gig at rest, then you're probably going to want to use the lower system if you've got an older machine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say there. Is it's extremely useful when you are looking at older systems, or
Absolutely.
if you're trying to set speed records for for boot
Go
time.
fast.
Yeah, if you've got an i9 with 24 gigs of RAM, then you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I
guess,
I wouldn't even install swap at that point.
Yeah, really. Well, maybe because some systems won't sleep without a swap.
Yeah, I don't care. Usually when I have that much memory, it's usually on a desktop, and I'm not putting it to sleep.
Yeah, but the only other time I could see it being useful is within extremely heavyweight operating systems, and then mid-range hardware.
I still think they're, if any, I don't know that there are any operating systems in Linux in general that use more memory on boot than Windows. So, I mean, saying heavyweight in Linux is pretty lightweight as far as Windows is concerned. But I mean, overall,
or even as much processing as Windows in the background.
True, very true, actually. Yeah, that is a huge thing. And I think, we'll talk about John Wallace here in a little bit. We're going to unload some of that stuff. But, I think in general, though, I don't know that Linux is very good about memory management in general. And it's just getting better and better and better and better every single time we change stuff. I mean, Fedora, I forget what it's called. They just went to their to a different memory management kernel option, I think is what it was, but that it will unload things out of cache fast enough that you'll just never touch swap most of the time in the first place, unless you are literally running, more application memory wise than you have memory. You'll never really touch swap. So when you get heavy, you can't avoid it. But I think we just got into the seriously. No joke. I think browsers are the biggest reason. I think it might not be a bad idea, Hemron, to fire up Firefox and Chrome or Chrome and open up a few tabs and see what it looks like then, because I think a lot of people use those with lesser hardware tend to use them kind of like a Chromebook, right, where you've got a browser and you do everything inside of that. So I don't know. I would be curious to see what more than what an operating system uses at rest, what it uses after you've used the browser for about 30 minutes and you just kind of keep those tabs open.
I have considered doing that rating on Elise to say, okay, with 4 tabs of Firefox open, you've got this.
Yeah, exactly.
How much of that is controlled by the hardware? I have been learning that there's quite a bit of difference from one machine to another.
Yeah, to some extent, especially when it comes to devices that allow hardware acceleration for video. If it doesn't have it, which does happen sometimes with Linux systems, then your CPU is going to it's going to max out every time you run a video.
And I don't even have a clue what happens when you're gaming, because that's not what I do.
Yeah, well. Anyway, I think, man, this is a really good topic. I feel like we're not doing it justice because there's way more to talk about something like this. But we did answer the question. I just feel like there's a wider conversation to be had, and I think that may find its way into an innards one of these days.
No. Thinking about it, trying to process the last 2 years worth of shows, haven't we done one on? Or well, maybe it's just a topic we've discussed quite a bit when it came to RAM usage and swap and all that.
Yeah, but I think things change a lot. I mean, as Fedora put in their new memory management module, I mean, things change. So it might not be a bad idea to every year or two come back and talk about it again.
I'm perfect with it. I mean, we come back to Raspberry Pi and come back to gaming all the time, so let's do it.
VS Code. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the email, Hemmerin. I hope we answered your question to your satisfaction. If not, please email us back and we'll do this all again. So next up, Highlander.
We apologize, Henrik.
Why?
You keep calling him by his last name.
Oh. Well, either way. All right. So Highlander next. So who wants to take this one?
You want me to read it?
You go for it.
All right. Looking around, watching and listening to what is going on around me, I get the sense that there are some things people are missing. There seems to be an overdependence on an internet service provider when two or more people want to exchange data between each other. Did you know that ever since 2007, it is possible to exchange data between phones without dependence upon an internet service provider? There are two methods of data exchange that can be used by the civilian population right now with modern cell phones that do not need assistance from an internet service provider. First is a USB cable data connection. It is a reasonably high bandwidth data connection through a laptop, desktop, or tower computer. This should work regardless of whether the operating system is Windows, Mac, or Linux. I have tried the Windows and Linux systems. They both work. The other method is direct connection through Bluetooth data. Bluetooth data is like a bunch of walkie-talkies talking to each other without a service provider. On an Android smartphone, select the file you want to share and click share. Then click Bluetooth. Your Bluetooth transceiver will turn on. Then your phone will search for discoverable Bluetooth devices in your local area, maybe 30 feet. Select the device you want, then click send. The other device needs to click accept in order for the data to be exchanged. If you have a hiccup in this operation, try sending the file without verification or security. Odds of success should increase. If you are with a trusted friend and the hiccup persists, try Bluetooth pairing your phones prior to sharing data. Odds of success should increase. Bluetooth is bandwidth limited to about 110 kb per second. So be reasonable with your data exchange expectations. Hope this helps. Highlander. Now,
isn't there another method with some phones that they actually have where you can tap them if they're the same phone?
That usually connects them over Bluetooth. It just does the handoff using NFC, and then it exchanges them that way. There is another way. You can use direct Wi-Fi on some devices to exchange data back and forth. And these are good ideas, but yeah, Bluetooth is really slow, especially for larger files. Now, the direct cable connection is great as long as you have a cable handy with you. And yeah, I do it all the time. I will connect my phone up to my computer and shuffle data back and forth, or just pull things off of my phone so that I get a bit more space available. But I really don't like exchanging data over Bluetooth.
Well, I guess one of the... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I guess the Bluetooth method, people, or at least iPhone users, have been using for years and just not known it, because isn't that essentially how AirDrop works? Is just local Bluetooth around with other users?
So the way that mostly, yes, the way that AirDrop works is it uses Bluetooth to do the authentication and the trading of information, but Wi-Fi is used to actually send the file itself. So you end up with a much faster transfer than you would over Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But I do use, for Android, I don't have a lot of Android devices anymore, but when I do need to move things to and from an Android device, I'll use AirDroid. I think it's similar to Pushbullet. But I don't even know if those things are still available anymore. I just have it on old devices that it still works. So, and AirDroid gives you like a full drag and drop interface on through a web browser. So, if I just need to move a bunch of stuff, that's the way that I'll do it. And then, what was my other? On Linux. If you're Linux from top to bottom, Warpinator. Don't forget about Warpinator, man. If you have access to Flatpak and you're not on Linux Mint, you can still install Warpinator, and it does the same basic idea. It uses Avahi for discovery, and it uses Wi-Fi or Ethernet, whatever you're connected to, for the transfer itself.
Is that a direct connection, or would that be over a network.
It's peer-to-peer. So, I mean, you would need to have the two devices obviously plugged into a switch and have an IP address. But once you have that basic minimum set up, I mean, Warpinator is going to work just fine. It does not require the internet to work, and it does not require anything but one single local area network to get it done. Which, I mean, outside of Bluetooth, I mean, that's what you're using anyway.
Well, even if I like shut off my modem, BT Sync is still going to work along my local network. That's one of the nice things about that too.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's still not. It is going just from one to the other, but I still don't think that meets the parameters of what he's trying to get here.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe I missed the parameter, which is just move things from one device to another, right?
Yeah.
Warpinator still wins, I think, on that one, and high
BT
bandwidth.
Sync technically would too, but I think he was going for the simpler methods of just a direct connection and then moving files that way, which Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and cables could all potentially meet.
Well, right, and I think, I mean, because Warpinator only relies on the cable or Wi-Fi, if that's what you're using, I mean, I think it fits the bill.
Okay, who wants the next one?
I'll
in
do
the John Wallace saga.
Leo's been doing it, but I've been quiet for a while.
All right.
Yeah, you have to wake me up when you ask me anything. You know? John Wallace saga. Hi, Leo. Leo can answer. Thank you for your helpful feedback on 354.5. Much appreciated. I would appreciate your advice, please, regarding the following services that Linus has marked as unsafe. Now we've got WPA supplicant.service, user at 1000.service, thermal.service, Getty at TTY7.service, and UDISC2.service. I look forward to hearing from you. Take it, Leo.
Oh boy. All right. So WPA supplicant, if you use Wi-Fi, don't turn it off. I don't know exactly why Linus is marking it unsafe. But I mean, Wi-Fi is, I don't know. I won't even really say inherently unsafe, but I mean, you're spraying your data all over the place when you do Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is not a quiet protocol in any way whatsoever. So, I mean, if someone has been able to lift your WPA2 key or something like that, your passphrase, then I mean, your stuff is exposed, especially over unencrypted protocols. So maybe that's why it's marking it as unsafe. I mean, wired is safer, but you know, what happens if someone gets in your switch? I think Linus does take a bit of a everything is scary kind of stance. So maybe that's why they're marking it as unsafe. So if you're using Wi-Fi,
I really think they need to give out more information than just unsafe on these things.
Well, I think they do.
Potential vulnerabilities. I mean, everything is potentially vulnerable.
Well, when you run the Linus thing, I think it does give you information. He's just giving us the last word of it, and I think if we looked it up on Linus, it may give us more information. But I did not do that. Just kind of talking about it in a more broad sense. But user at 1000. This is typically referencing the first user on the system. This is the user ID that you get when you create the first user on the system after root. Root, I think, is, I should know this. It's 0 or 1. I think it's 0, maybe. Anyway, user 1000 used to be 100 back in the day, but as more and more service accounts came online, 1000. No, 1000 is the new default. So user 1000 is typically you. And as I did a system control status of user 1000, I realized that it had a bunch of child processes on it. So it seems to me that this is the service that tends to manage all of the things that you launch as user 1000. So I would suspect that there might be one of these services every user that are on the system. So if you created a second user, user at 1001, user at 1002, and this is really the service that monitors all of those processes. So I would say don't touch it. This seems to be something that is, at least on my machine, is in use a lot, and it does monitor that stuff. So if I could have more information as to why Linus thinks it's unsafe, then maybe I can make a better, dive deeper into that. Thermal D, this is the daemon that monitors your thermals. So temperatures on your CPU, on your video card, whatever. On my machine, Thermal D said my processor wasn't supported, so it's not even looking at it. And it's an AMD 2400 GE. So I get it, but maybe with a newer kernel, I will that will have gotten support and it may work. But it's not working right now. It's dead currently. So there's nothing wrong with turning off Thermal D as a service on your system. You can leave it off, but I don't see any reason why it would be a big security risk. You can get some non-personal identifiable information off of that. Remotely accessing a machine and knowing that it's really, really hot may tell you that it's in one of the hotter rooms in a particular building or something like that. But, I don't really think it gives you enough information to really do any kind of damage or really get any kind of information that might harm you. In conjunction with other things, yeah. So that may be why it's under the unsafe umbrella. Go ahead.
I was just going to say demon? Did you say demon?
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, I said demon. Yes, sir. You're on Team Joe, and it's unacceptable.
Well, it sounds like maybe John Wallace has bigger problems if his entire machine is being possessed and haunted.
See, but that's exactly why, right? You got demons in the walls and demons in the pipes and demons in the wire and everything, right? That's what this is about. It's those little gargoyles that sit and stare at you all day. So there was a thing about gargoyles, right? You're not a gargoyle unless you have a way to stream out water on top of the building, right? And this is exactly why I think it should be pronounced demon, because demons will give you a stream of information via your logs all day long. So, demons,
they need to get rid of their A.
Well, that's just the old English spelling. I can't help with that, man.
Well, you can't help being wrong. We get it.
Of course. So next up is Getty at TTY7. So there are a couple of Gettys that you have on your machine. Getty at TTY1 and Getty at TTY7. So it's hard to it really is that Getty at symbol TTY1 and 7. So Getty at TTY1 is typically referring to your GUI. TTY1 is normally where GUIs end up. If it is on 7, then you'll actually have this service. So what I will say to you is do a Control-Alt-F1. If nothing happens, then you're using TTY1 for your GUI, and you can safely disable Getty at TTY7. Because on my machine, Getty TTY7 is already off. It's not being used, if I remember correctly. So it would be safe for me because it's not in use to just disable it. But in some distros, it's backwards. TTY7 is the GUI and TTY1 is not. But to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't kill Getty TTY1. Getty in general is a thing that controls your terminals. So when you're doing Control-Alt-F1, F2, F3, F4, that's the thing behind there that allows that to work. So I wouldn't touch those in general. And then the last one is Udisks 2. So you can turn this off, but it depends on your distro, and I would assume Linux Mint. And I don't actually, hold on. System control status Udisks 2. I don't know if I'm using it. Yes, I am. So yeah, it looks to me that Udisks is actually part of the process that when you start up your machine, it helps you mount things, remount things, change things. But Udisks 2 is not the only way to do that. You obviously have things like gparted and GNOME disks that can handle mounting and unmounting and things like that. So if for some reason you're using Udisks in a way that Linus is the sky is falling, you really need to turn this off, it's okay. The systemd and the kernel itself can still handle mounting your disks and unmounting and moving, but Udisks 2 seems to be just the daemon that handles this for a lot of the Ubuntu things. So if you're on Ubuntu, I would recommend not messing with Udisks 2. So this is going to be another one where if Linus is telling you something specific about this service, then let me know, and I can probably dive into that a little bit deeper. But it looks like you can kill Thermal D. That's the one that I can unequivocally say, if you don't care about thermals or your chip is not supported like mine, just turn it off. But the others, there are good reasons to leave them on. So anyway, that'll do it for this one. So we'll head down to check this out. Hold on, Moss, you put... Hold on, let's check out this Wikipedia article real quick that Moss put in the thing. Does this settle the debate, or does it just make it worse?
It makes it worse.
Okay. Yes.
It's originally supposed to be Daemon, but Demon is what has evolved into. Of course, if you're old MS DOS, it's just a TSR.
Right. So let me. You know what? This might settle it. Which pronunciation comes first when you have the either or situation here in Wikipedia? And the wrong
one.
It pains me to say Demon's first. I don't know what to tell you guys.
It pains you to say, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
you're hurting.
Me.
I can tell.
I know. Oh. Anyway, either pronunciation is fine. I really like Demon because I don't know. There's a lot of lore with demons and things like that, so I like thinking that those guys exist in my machine.
The idea is that a daemon is neither good nor evil, whereas a demon is definitively evil.
Oh yeah, Linux is evil, so totally demon.
Why would you repost this, Moss? You're just encouraging him.
Give it a few minutes.
Oh man, I can't help it.
Because we need to keep Tony awake a little longer.
That's true. All right, 10 more minutes, Tony. Hang on. All right, so Moss, you got. Ooh, this looks cool. What is this?
The Pi-Mega project turns a Raspberry Pi 400 into an Amiga, with hundreds of Amiga games available. And now they have expanded it to where images are available for the Pi 400, the Pi 4, and even the Pi 3B.
Oh, don't you have a 3B that you can put this on?
I've got a 3B, but boy, would I love to have it on a Pi 400. That'd make it an Amiga 400, and just like the old 500. Yeah, the little keyboard with everything in it. Yeah.
Well, get to know it. Yeah, get to know it on the 3B, and then when you get yourself a Pi 400, then it's just an easy shuffle over.
Well, I would bet that the 3B is a more limited system than what's for the 4. I could just do a SD card swap on my 4 that I'm using as my Kodi server.
Oh, true that, yeah. All right, well, next up, Josh has down here YubiKey. Everyone needs one. And this is true. If you care about your security and you want to do two-factor right, I think YubiKey or other hardware dongles in general are kind of the right way to do that. So he writes, I was skeptical about it at first, but now that I have one, I'm hooked. So the general idea with the YubiKeys are either you have them plugged in or near your device that you're trying to log into one of your two-factor style login services like Google or something like that. Or Bitwarden actually is one of the things that I use a lot and can take a YubiKey. But I do think you have to pay for Bitwarden, which it's actually pretty cheap. I think it's like $2 a month, and you get
it's all $10 a year for Bitwarden.
Oh, even better. So it's not even $1 a month to get the ability to use YubiKeys and be that much safer.
Also
storing
not a mintCast sponsor.
Yeah,
I do miss my YubiKey.
Yeah, they're really good.
And they're really not very expensive either.
No, I mean, can you really put a price on keeping track of everything in your life? $40 is a pretty small price to pay if you get the one that has less features. But
still, Josh says he got one for about $25.
Oh, what? They're cheaper now? That's fantastic.
Just to point out as well, if you use a laptop a lot and you travel around and there's lots of confidential data on it for work, as well as encrypting the drive, you can also put the bootloader on a USB key that you keep in your pocket, and then when you before you switch the computer on, you just put the USB key in and it'll boot. But without that key, it won't boot the computer at all.
Right. Exactly. I think that was one of the cool things about YubiKey is that you can use it. It got added to the kernel a while back, and you can use it now as your key to unencrypt your hard drive and actually boot right in. And so without that key, your hard drive is just a hunk of SSD that can't be read.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you can do 2FA with your cell phone per se. And just, tell the system, send me a code, it sends you a code, it verifies your phone, and then you use your phone. And a lot of people would consider it easier to have your phone on you, since you have it on you all the time anyway.
Sure.
And But my issue is it's so much easier to reach over and press the button on the YubiKey than it is for me to type out the code that gets sent to my phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, every day I went to work, when I did do that, I had my keys on me. Yeah, back in the before time. I had my keys on me all the time. So, I mean, if I had my laptop in my backpack, I'd have the YubiKey on my keychain, and then it wouldn't be an issue one way or the other to actually to plug that in to boot up or to log into things or whatever the deal is. And I think most of the YubiKeys, or at least the one that I had, was metal. So, yeah.
And they're really they're pretty almost indestructible too. They're waterproof, crush-proof, I think shock-proof. And
I'm pretty sure my YubiKey is right where I left it, sitting in the USB port in my monitor. I didn't mean to do that, but yeah, it got left there like a year now.
Yeah. Well, either way, if you're concerned about your privacy, if you want to up your two-factor game, YubiKey is a great option. There are a couple others, but I think we're all pretty familiar with the YubiKey. So, yeah, go grab one. Joe?
Now, Mike, we were talking about books earlier and audiobooks, and I wanted to recommend one for you. And it's the Damon novel series by Daniel Suarez. It's it's a book. Really good. It's 2 books. It's Damon and Freedom, and I highly recommend them. And I think they're along the lines of the fiction that you would like.
Oh, okay.
Thriller style. Well, it is science fiction, but it doesn't seem completely outside the realm of possibilities.
Is it Damon or Demon?
It's Damon.
Okay, good.
And on the other side, we can always recommend Demon Squad by Tim Marquitz.
Yeah, that's a good series too.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'm a big reader, so
I like the Demon Accords.
Damon Accords?
Yeah,
no, it's actually Accords. Demon Accords. D-E-M. There's no A in that one.
You said the Damon series is 2 books?
Yeah, Damon novel series. I did post a link in the show notes.
Perfect.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for the show. We have one announcement left, which is our next episode will be at 2 p.m. Central U.S. time on March 7th, 2021. And we'll have a link in the show notes as well as a link on the website for how to get that converted to your time zone. So you don't have to do any of that weird math. Try to figure out what time Texas is right now. But outside of that, Joe, where can we find more of you?
Well, you can catch me on a couple of the other shows that I'm on. I'm on the Linux Link Tech Show, www.tllts.org. I'm on the Linux Lugcast, which is at www.linuxlugcast.com. We just recorded this last Friday, so it should be out by now. You can find me on MeWe, although I've been much less active on MeWe lately. Or you can send me an email directly, jb@mintcast.org, and I do check that daily.
And Bo has his YouTube channel, Undercast Collective, which now includes Crowbar Kernel Panic. I think that's right. Josh is not here to correct me, so if it's wrong, whoops. We'll get it right next time. And Moss, what about you?
Well, you can find me on It's Moss. I'm at MeWe. I've got several blogs. Music is on Bandcamp and on various YouTube channels, all linked in the show notes. You can reach me at moss@mintcast.org, although if you want a quick response, you should use zyvalananda@protonmail.ch. You can find me on Mastodon at zyvala@hosttux.social. And I have a sponsor.
You can see his toots.
I can toot. And I have a sponsors with a few really nice sponsors now, so I'd love to have more. I do not want to be a professional podcaster. I want to be an appreciated podcaster.
And you will chase folks down.
As I can attest.
Tony, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me at Hacker Public Radio. I'm host ID 338. I do an occasional blog, tony-hughes.blogspot.com. I'm on Twitter, TonyH1212. You can get me at th@mintcast.org or distrohoppersdigest@gmail.com.
And Tony Watson here's time, but you can get him at tw@mintcast.org or just Google up Echoes of Savages, the band. And Josh cut out a little early, so you can get him at joshontech@mintcast.org, I think, and at joshontech on Twitter and most other social sites. As for me, leochavez.org and at leochavez on Twitter, leochavez@mintcast.org, linuxuserspace.show, and you can get your 5-minute news digest at Full Circle Weekly News, or you can buy me a coffee. Now, before we go, we have to thank one more time Mike for coming on to the show. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it again.
Of course. And if you want to get in touch with Mike, you can get him grouchym@pm.me. But before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make mintCast possible, Mike included, Owen Peary for our audio editing, Josh Lowe for all his work on the website, Hobstar for our logo, and Londoner for our time sync and like half those links in the show. Seriously. Bytemark Hosting for hosting mintcast.org and our Mumble server, archive.org for hosting our audio files, HPR for our backup Mumble room, and of course, the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about every fortnight.
Thanks, Clem.
Thanks, Clem. And Co.
And that's a wrap.
And that's done. Yeah.
Yay!
That was a
Hey,
fun
we
show.
came in under 3 hours, Tony.
Hey.
Yeah, can I take the matchsticks out now?
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. I think so.
The coffee drip can end.
Yeah.
I
hands
was
are
thinking,
drenched
why
in
would
sweat.
you use matchsticks when you could use Hot Wheels?
Mike, what did you say?
I said my hands are drenched in sweat. I was so nervous.
Oh man, well you did fantastic. Man,
Right?
you're very well spoken, to be honest. I'm
Yeah.
very
That was
impressed.
smooth.
Come back anytime.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you guys are ever down a host or something, then feel free to reach out. I'll be
Hey,
happy to come back
hey.
anytime.
If
Awesome.
you want to start coming back, start coming back.
I mean, if you're really offering, I'll start coming back every week.
Sure.
Yeah.
We can do it. We've got
Now-
some co-hosts on the show now that don't come back every week.
Here's the deal. Here's the only thing.
Mhm.
We got to tighten up that wanderings. that gets
Why?
long.
We say that every week.
What? No, I know.
My
And
wanderings were pretty dang small this time.
Josh
so.
was the big one this month, this episode.
Actually, yeah, but I mean, I think just overall, Wanderings is the biggest part of the show. It is always the section that always takes the longest, and because we do news and security in it, it can't be an hour. So
Well,
I
with the
think that's
previous team, it was set to be 20 minutes at most.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but there was only 2 of them.
That's
True.
true.
True, but because we grew, I think we gotta trim it. I mean, we don't really have to trim it that much because I don't think there's anything wrong with the first half of the show being like an hour 15, an hour 30. But I mean, you got to trim it a little bit.
Okay, Tony, help Mike save his file.
Okay.
Oh, should I stop recording on Audacity now?
Yeah,
Yep,
you
yes.
can
Hit that
just
stop
press the
button.
stop button.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good. You're good.
And you got to make sure it outputs as FLAC. So let
Go
Tony
to-
watch
And
you do
and
that.
at the highest level. And
Yeah,
we're
Tony
going to
will
let
walk you
Tony
through
do
it.
that.
Yeah.
So if you go, stop your recording, go to File, Save Project.
Uh-huh.
Not Save Project, Export,
Export.
Export Audio, and press that.
Okay.
And then you'll get a menu up that's it'll give you the name of the file if you've already got one. .flac.
Yeah,
Mine
you
is
need to make it a
.wave.
FLAC. You
How do
need
I-
to
Right,
change
you
it to
need
FLAC.
to change it to FLAC then.
And change the file type at the bottom to
Gotcha.
FLAC.
Yeah.
FLAC. Should I just save it as FLAC? Will that be good enough?
You'll
Or-
have to change it
Yeah,
will not
because-
change the extension.
You've got
Yeah.
you've got 8. You've got the level and the quality, and then underneath it there's the bar that's got a down arrow on it with different file types. At the moment, it'll say WAV in it, and if you go into that, one of the options about four or five down is FLAC. So if you click on that,
I'm sorry. Where are we for this?
right at the bottom of the box,
Oh,
So
still in the export box.
yeah, in the export box.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so export audio, and then down in the bottom right, I can change that to FLAC.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll save that as FLAC then, or should I mess with the levels or bit depth?
The bit depth level should be 8 and bit depth 24.
Level 8, bit depth 24-bit, and then save.
Yeah. And then have you given it a name and you've told it where to go? Have you? Have you told it where to put it?
Oops. I'll just put it in my documents folder, I suppose.
Yeah. And just do MC355 and then your initial at the end of it .flac for the name of it.
What should the name be again? MC.
Yeah, whatever you want, but as long as it says 355 and then your initial, so we know whose audio it is. .flac.
Okay.
And then just save. You'll get a box.
Edit metadata tags.
Don't leave them blank. Just go save.
Okay.
And then once you've done that, I don't know. Has Leo sent you a link to the Dropbox?
Oh, forgot about that. Yep, I'll do that right now.
There's an audio folder in Dropbox.
Drive.
In Drive, sorry. I always call it Dropbox.
Let's see.
And I'm sure the people at Dropbox appreciate that.
It's all right. We're not on air.
What time is it where you are, Tony?
Currently, it's coming up to 2,300 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we keep them up late.
Or if you want it simple, 11 o'clock at night.
For us Americans, man, we can't count past 12, so.
Looks like it finished exporting, and I just want to know where it went to. Oh, okay, I have the FLAC file now.
Cool. I am in the process of sharing the directory with you. What I'm trying to do is extract your email. I have it. Don't worry. I have it.
Well, for my Gmail one?
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on. We're live just in case. I know you wear a tinfoil hat that way.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm the same way. Nobody knows it.
Leo has not turned off the live yet.
Nobody knows my email.
He has to go to the other room in order to shut off the live stream.
I will send you 5 Dogecoin if you can figure it out. Nobody
Leo
on the show.
Chavez at gmail.com.
Yeah, you guys are cheating.
That was just a random guess, by the way.
It was not correct, which is good for me.
I don't know your middle name, so I can't guess that.
See, that's how I get past it.
Enrique.
Hey, getting close.
Carlos.
You're getting colder.
Emmanuel.
No, but a nice one.
Okay,
All
mine's up.
All right, Mike. You should.
Mine's on the way.
You should have a notification.
Nardo.
Probably. That's actually my first full name.
Where'd you send the notification to?
It should probably go to your Gmail. I think I sent you a notification on it.
Okay, let me go check.
But here's what I'll do. I will put the link.
Richard.
No. It's got flavor on it, man.
Esteban.
Ooh, see, now we're getting there, but no, not quite. There you go, Mike.
Estevez.
Perfect.
No. There's the drive link.
Okay.
In Mumble, sorry. Yeah. We got about 8 different chat platforms.
So the live stream's still going, is it?
It is, and I think there's still 5 people in there listening to our rambly rambles.
Rolling.
Well, this is fun. I'm not able to access any Google domains for some reason.
Oh, that's a fun problem.
Yeah, I gotta figure out what's going on with this Wi-Fi tonight. Everything was fine yesterday, and then today when I turned on the computer, my speeds when I run a test from my phone are perfectly fine, but for some reason on my laptop they're coming in at like 38 down.
How weird. I would blame that on Arch, but I don't think you're running Arch.
No.
That
Yeah,
newfangled
I gotta-
kernel you just got.
I got to work on switching over all my machines to Arch next month.
Ooh. You know, I think I've got him convinced to do pure Arch on Linux user space. So maybe Dan's in listening.
Pure Arch.
Yeah,
Pure
like
Arch.
I don't know
starting
about that.
from the command line, or starting from what is it, BusyBox or however you start. Yeah, you start with formatting your disks and downloading this and that, and
I think I'm gonna go with Reborn OS because it has support for Anbox.
Oh, that's cool.
My go-to now for Arch is Endeavour. It's so
It's
easy.
on my short list.
It sure is. I mean, honestly, we did Endeavor to test out XFCE 4.16 when that came out, and I mean, it's pure Arch with like a couple tools to help you out.
Yeah.
That really is what it is.
And a great installer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Arco is kind of on that same level, but they give you like the whole intention for Arco is that you're learning how Linux works. So Endeavor is more just like, I know you want Arch, but I know you don't want the headache of Arch. So here's this. Yeah.
You get the headaches once you've got it installed.
Oh, right, of course, because if you don't do the little things that Arch requires you to do,
Yeah.
Endeavor's not going to force your hand. They'll just let you break.
Yeah.
All right, my system is slowly getting to Google Drive. I'll have that uploaded in just about 3 or 4 more days, I think.
All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for the live stream. Those of y'all still listening on the live stream, thank you guys so much for coming in and hanging out with us and all that.
Yeah.
Hey,
we had Sleepy Eye Vince tonight.
Yeah, we did. We usually saw him on Biddle, but I think he's getting the Linux itch. Biddle hadn't been around for a little while, but maybe it'll be soon. I keep seeing Rocco pop up in the chats every now and then. So maybe.
What was the next show topic?
Compression. Mike, if you decide you want to just hop on in on that or whatever, just do a tar GZ of your home folder and see what kind of compression you get out of that.
One of these days, we're going to have 10 people on the show.
We'll be the new Biddle.
Yeah, we will. Seriously, man, we just need video, and we could totally fill up a YouTube video thing with all of our Hollywood squares.
Yeah,
we'll be Linux Wood squares. That's it.
Yeah, no, in all seriousness, though, if you guys are serious about the offer to come back, I definitely will. Like I said, I'll be happy to come back every week.
Sure.
I had a great time.
I have just created the show notes and you're on them.
Oh, perfect. I guess that decides it then.
Yeah, we do the 2-week thing to make it sound like we actually do a show every week, but we don't. Was it? I don't know, Mike. I don't know if it was you or not, but it was the magic of editing that makes it seem like we do more work than we do.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that yesterday. That I keep getting confused that it's not actually every week.
Thanks, Owen.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you, Owen.
Yeah.
So
he takes a lot of work out of it for us.
No joke. If it weren't for Owen, I would not have been able to do Linux user space at all. When Owen decides to hang up his hat on this, then I'll be in a pickle, but I'll figure it out.
Well, I'm sure Joe could take a little bit of the strain, and I could take a bit of the strain.
Well, I've done the editing before. Tony's done
I have.
Tony's
by the way,
done the editing before.
Yeah.
And, Bo.
Tony, if you want to stick with Audacity, and Joe, if you want to stick with Audacity, I have a whole different way to do it now.
In Audacity?
It's not a whole different way, but it uses a different compressor, not the built-in compressor. It's a dynamic compressor made by this gentleman that used to do podcasting, but he passed away, but he left his code behind, and they re-licensed it to where it's open. And it's one of the best compressors I've ever come across. Super easy, one pass. You don't have to do any tinkering with it. And Tony, I know you and I both had a lot of issues like getting the levels right.
Yeah.
You don't even. You just run the compressor. It handles it.
Hold up.
What?
Do a write up on it. Let's make it an inners.
Yeah. What I
would prefer to do this over compression.
What I'm gonna do is just I did a video for Joe on Linux user space with the old tooling, and I'll just do that again for y'all with the new tooling if y'all want to.
Yeah, but I think
edit it that way.
Joe's saying we should do it as a innards for the show.
Oh, sure. And then, because I'll have notes and all that, we can just do that for the innards of the show, and then we can point to that video to be like, hey, if you want to see it in action, this is how you do it. And so,
Cool.
So there's the dynamic compressor. By the way, Tony, the reason the noise reduction thing sucks is because it doesn't really matter too much if you do it too many times, no matter what the settings are. The big thing is if you accidentally catch a breath in the silence, that breaks it. And every time someone exhales or inhales, you get that sound.
Yeah.
It's breathing. So when we do that, I think it's best if we just say, move away from your mic as well and don't catch breaths, and that fixes it, because that happens to Dan a lot on Linux user space. So I just got to find a little spot where he's not I don't catch a breath, and it's magic. It works.
I'll remember that. I'll push my chair back away from my mic next time.
Yeah. And then the last thing is a noise gate. So instead of having to go in between each and every little thing that between someone's talking or whatever, I set a noise gate at -55, and it just cuts out everything underneath that. And talking
using
is
those
not
before.
No. Audacity doesn't have a noise gate built in, and so I was just using the built-in tooling. But Audacity does give you these Nyquist plugins that you can add that are still official, that they don't add because they don't work 100% all the time. So anyway, so I use their noise gate, and that cuts out a lot of like the creaking and breathing and shuffling and just that
Okay,
that
so you're
annoying
going to have
stuff.
to go through the whole process in the innards where you're talking about this is what you install, this is how you install it, and then this is the process that we use, and use each of them.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to do that. But those are the 3 tools that I'll use, and then the rest of it, I mean, go listen to Linux User Space. If you think that is a decent edit, then yeah, I mean, it works for me. I like the way it sounds. It comes out pretty good. So I will write that down, and we'll do a whole show about that.
So what do you set the noise gate for?
To cut out like
all the
really,
low end stuff.
Yeah, pretty
all the
much.
quiet stuff.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
These 4 boxes. It says gate frequencies above, level reduction, gate threshold, and attack decay. What do you have them
Gate
set?
threshold.
Let me see. I'll have to. I'll go to my desktop and I'll just give you a screenshot of what I have it set to.
Gate threshold should be at like what,
-55.
48? Oh, you have it 55? Okay.
Yeah, bring it down a little bit because I do it before I do the compression. So this is usually when the audio is still pretty low. Like my audio, well, everybody on Linux User Space, we don't even get anywhere close to 0. I mean, at my peak, I'm at -6. So the noise gate's perfect for that. So if you get someone that's louder or that peaks at 0, you'll probably need to bring that up a little bit to -48, -40 or something like that. But yeah, I mean that's really the idea. I'll get you guys a screenshot of what I set that to.
You're gonna put that in Discord?
Yeah, probably be easier. Anyway, so everybody's still hanging around. Got a whole how-to audio. So I'm gonna go kill the live stream. Mike, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been fantastic. Yeah, it was great having you. And for everybody else that's still listening, we're down to 3. Thank y'all for coming in, hanging out.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna jump off now to go try and work on my Wi-Fi, I think, and get this file uploaded to you all.
Sounds good.
Leah, I'll be in touch if I have any issues at all, but it's probably just gonna be a little while. But it should be fine.
Please do.
Don't forget to contact him about getting access to the next set of show notes and everything, and then we'll make up something more permanent.
Show notes are edited. Next show notes are created. We just need to give Mike access to it.
Cool. Okay. Will do.
All right. Well, it was nice meeting you all again, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Next week.
Oh,
yeah. We have a team meeting on Saturday night.
Meeting on Saturday.
Oh, okay. What time?
Every week.
Same time as yesterday?
3 o'clock Eastern? Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll see you guys next Saturday then.
All right, Mike.
Yep.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Right. I'm going to stop the mumble recording.
So now the question is, do I list him as a guest or mark him as first hosting.
Put him in as hosting for now, and we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I mean on the host tally.
Oh,
all right. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah,
it was
I'm
fun.
off. I'm going to go and get some sleep.
Good night, Tony. I hope you're good for Wednesday morning.
Oh, are we recording